Chapter 682. It's not just because the food itself isn't as profitable as COR coins, it's also because the level of the food is too high. Without a certain level of cooking skill, it's impossible to process this kind of food. Messing around with it will only turn the precious S-grade food into a pile of charred coal. Up until now, none of the professional chefs that the players knew had the ability to process such S-grade super rare ingredients. Even if they wanted to taste the S-grade super rare ingredients, they couldn't do it. Of course, Wu Yin has already maxed out his cooking skill, so this isn't a problem at all. Originally, Wu Yin wanted to go home and cook the chowder rabbit, but he didn't expect Asuna, the foodie, to bump into him. Under Asuna's threat, Wu Yin had to suppress his impatience and save the chowder rabbit for tonight. Because of this, Wu Yin had plenty of time to go to the market. In order to not waste this S-grade super rare ingredient, Wu Yin planned to use the best side dishes and condiments as a side dish. Therefore, Wu Yin first went to the market on the 50th floor and bought a lot of ingredients. He then went to buy some herbs, potions, and other ingredients to mix with some seasoning. By the time he was done, the sky was almost dark. Wu Yin put away the day's harvest, including the S-grade super rare ingredients he got from the chowder rabbit, into his item inventory. He then looked up at the sky. Asuna should be back soon, right? Wu Yin muttered to himself. He shook his head with a bitter smile and cursed in his mind. I should have just killed the chowder rabbit. What's wrong with me that made me want to keep it as a souvenir? Asuna's hidden attribute is that she's a foodie, but strictly speaking she's only half a foodie. She likes delicious food. Her appetite isn't that big, but now that she has an S-grade ingredient, she won't stop until she's finished half of it. He bitterly smiled again. Wu Yin had no choice but to accept his fate. He walked towards the teleport gate plaza. Let's go back. Ein grunt. 22nd floor. Wu Yin walked along the wooden path, and it didn't take long for his wooden house to appear in front of him. To Wu Yin's surprise, Asuna is standing in front of her house with her arms crossed behind her back. She's standing in front of her house with one foot tapping on the ground. Asuna? Wu Yin quickened his pace. Hearing the voice, Asuna turned around and crossed her arms in front of her chest. Her face became impatient. You're too slow. You're even later than me. Well, I spent a bit of time to buy some ingredients. Wu Yin opened the door and Asuna walked in like she's familiar with the place. She asked him while walking. You're here to buy ingredients? You have a lot of ingredients, right? There's always something I don't have. Wu Yin turned on the light in the living room and sneered. And because of someone's exploitation, I'm almost out of ingredients. Asuna rolled her eyes and sat on the sofa. I don't know who was the one who said that girls should eat better. What? Now I can't even get some ingredients from you? Didn't I give you the recipe? I have the recipe, I don't have the ingredients. Asuna nodded and smiled. You don't lack money or ingredients anyway? Wu Yin smiled and sighed. That's why my house became your exclusive restaurant. Don't make it sound like I'm here all the time. Asuna complained, but Wu Yin didn't hold back. You're here all the time. Asuna choked and then she started scolding Wu Yin. It's all your fault. Who asked you to cook better than me? Wu Yin was speechless. What kind of reason is that? It's a legitimate reason. Asuna turned her head away. Since your cooking is better than mine, of course I'll choose the one who eats better. What a glutton. Of course not. Exactly. What are you talking about? Asuna pursed her lips and put her hands on her waist. I even sped up the raid and came here as soon as I finished? That means? Wu Yin looked at Asuna strangely. You purposely left your subordinates behind just to come here and freeload off my food? I'm not here to eat. Asuna refuted with all her might. You're the one who invited me here. Wu Yan's hands trembled and his legs went soft. He almost fell to the ground. You're the one who threatened me. Seeing that Wu Yin didn't have anything else to say, Asuna showed a victorious smile. Wu Yin felt like all the energy in his body was draining away. Are you okay? Leaving your subordinates behind. Wu Yin raised his spirits and looked at Asuna meaningfully. They seem to care a lot about me, including you, the vice leader? Asuna's smile slowly disappeared and turned into a heavy expression. She knew what I was talking about, so she lowered her head and tapped the ground with her heels. When I was on my own, I encountered a few unpleasant incidents. Since then, the guild has sent a guard to protect me. It's Kura deal. Although I told them that I didn't need it, they used the guild's policy as an excuse. To be honest, I didn't want it to be like this. Asuna continued in a low voice. In the past, our guild leader would personally invite the members of our guild one by one. But as the number of members increased, The members kept changing and the guild grew bigger and bigger. From the moment we were called the strongest guild, things started to get weird. In your words, it's not worth it? Asuna turned to Wu Yen and her eyes dimmed. Obviously, Asuna didn't like being in the Knights of the Blood. Wu Yen listened to Asuna quietly. When he saw her dimmed eyes, he shook his head and shrugged. If you don't like being here, why don't you leave? It's not that easy. Asuna smiled bitterly. The title of Strongest Guild sounds amazing, but when it comes to strategy, our guild strength isn't that great. Every member of our guild is precious. Plus, I'm the vice leader and the person in charge of the strategy team. I'm more important than a normal guild member, so the higher-ups won't let me go. In other words, Wu Yen sat across from Asuna and looked into her beautiful eyes. Do you want to leave the Knights of the Blood as well? Asuna fell into silence. It's not that she doesn't want to answer, but she's conflicted. On one hand, if she wants to leave this world, she has to do everything she can to complete the strategy. From this point of view, it's more important for her to stay in the Knights of the Blood. On the other hand, Asuna isn't happy at all in the Knights of the Blood. Such a contradictory question exhausted Asuna both physically and mentally. Traces of heart-wrenching sadness began to surface in her eyes. Perhaps no one would have thought that the awe-inspiring, shining Asuna actually had such a weak side. Suddenly, a hand pressed on Asuna's head. She looked up in surprise and saw Wu Yan's smile that made her heart beat faster. Don't worry about it. Wu Yan rubbed Asuna's head. Don't forget, there's work and enjoyment in life. Asuna's heart melted when she heard his gentle voice. Chapter 683. Asuna lowered her head as Asuna's hand gently touched her head. Her originally complicated heart miraculously calmed down under the touch of Asuna's hand. Sometimes I really envy you. Asuna said enviously. You can live the life you want and enjoy it as much as you want. You have enough strength to rival the clearers and you don't have to worry about the clearers. Perhaps no one in SAO is happier than you. That's because you don't know how to enjoy life. Wu Yen sighed and said with a bit of displeasure. Also, if it wasn't for the fact that the boss room is so hard to find, I wouldn't have let you clearers get there first. Asuna giggled and sighed. Actually, someone in the clearers suggested that in order to clear SAO as soon as possible, we should focus all our efforts on finding the boss room and provide you with the information about the boss room. Wu Yan's hand stopped on Asuna's head. Then what happened? What happened? Because of the risk. Asuna said to Wu Yan. This method might be able to clear Aincrad faster, but it's based on the condition that you have the ability to kill the boss alone. Almost no one in the clearers would believe that you can kill the boss alone all the time. The monsters in Aincrad would become stronger and stronger as the floors increased. After reaching the 70th floor, the pressure the players felt from the monsters would reach a whole new level. Almost every player knows that every 25th floor of Aincrad is a dividing line. After passing the 25th floor, the difficulty of clearing Aincrad will greatly increase. If the 70th floor and above is already this difficult, what about the 75th floor? At the end of the day, no matter how strong Wu Yan is, he's still a solo player. No one in the clearers would believe that he has the ability to kill the boss alone all the way up to the 100th floor. One day Wu Yan won't be able to kill the boss alone. The clearers who spent all their efforts on finding the boss room will be reduced to mere spectators, and the boss will fall into a dead end. Everything will be over by then. The clearers naturally don't want to bet everything on Wu Yan. Also, if the clearers change their focus from clearing Aincrad to exploring, then not only will the clearers not be able to level up, they won't even be able to get benefits from the boss monsters. Who's going to feed the clearers then? Asuna turned to look at Wu Yan and said with a helpless tone. Coupled with the fact that Divine Dragon Alliance is a profit-oriented guild, this proposal will be left unsettled. That's a pity? Wu Yan pursed his lips. Although he said it was a pity, he didn't seem to feel that way at all. Asuna pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment before turning around. Yan, why don't you join a guild? Asuna tilted her head in confusion. If you join a guild, you'll be able to combine your strength with the clearers. That way, clearing Aincrad will be much easier, and you'll be able to work together to kill the boss. Wouldn't that be a lot safer? Why are you so insistent on going solo? Well? Wu Yan rubbed his nose and said bitterly, maybe it's because I'm an unsociable person. Asuna frowned and said worriedly. Aren't you afraid that something might happen that you can't handle alone? The monsters on the 70th floor and above aren't easy to deal with. You don't have to worry about that. Wu Yan smiled and patted Asuna's head, causing her to pout. Do I look like someone who doesn't know what to do? Oh? Is that so? Asuna raised her head and her chestnut-colored eyes flashed with a strange light. She suddenly said, "Then why don't you team up with me?" Wu Yan's hand froze on Asuna's head, followed by a smile on his face. Asuna's lips curled up when she saw Wu Yan's expression. Her gaze suddenly became oppressive, causing Wu Yan's heart to tremble. "If you team up with me, I don't think your unsociable personality will be triggered, right?" Asuna's body moved closer to Wu Yan, her head also moved closer to Wu Yan's face. Wu Yan was sitting on the armrest of the sofa. When Asuna moved closer, Wu Yan reflexively leaned back. But Asuna kept moving closer and closer, forcing Wu Yan to keep leaning back. After a while, Wu Yan's waist is almost touching the sofa while Asuna is above him. It's a woman on top and a man on the bottom. "Asuna?" Wu Yan's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. He smiled awkwardly. "I can really do it alone? Speaking of which?" Asuna raised her voice and looked down at Wu Yan with sharp eyes. "It was because you suggested that I join a guild that I joined the Knights of the Blood Oath. Don't you think you should take responsibility for that?" "Take responsibility?" Wu Yan gulped. He looked at Asuna's delicate face. He looked away awkwardly. Wu Yan weakly said, "But, aren't you going to lead the guild members to the labyrinth area?" "Yes. That's to test the strength of the monsters on the 74th floor." Asuna smiled. "If we follow you, we should be able to achieve our goal even better. I believe that even the commander wouldn't disagree with us. But, Wu Yan forced an ugly smile. "Your guard will follow you, right? I don't think I can get along with him." "Then don't bring him." Asuna made her choice without hesitation. "What trouble? If you can't handle it, then Kuradil won't be able to do anything. He's no match for you." Wu Yan wasn't happy to hear Asuna's compliment. Asuna narrowed her eyes when Wu Yan didn't respond. "Yankuan, you're the one who told me to enjoy life," Asuna said with a smile. "You won't refuse such a small request, right?" "I won't be happy if you do." Wu Yan finally understood what it meant to be caught in a trap of one's own making. Looking at Asuna's firm expression, Wu Yan knew that if he didn't agree, they're going to part on bad terms and it's not going to be easy for them to meet again. "Okay, I understand." Wu Yan nodded helplessly. "I hope you can keep up with my progress." Asuna's eyes lit up when Wu Yan nodded. Her eyes turned into crescent moons as she smiled. She opened her profile and sent a party request to Wu Yan. She then looked at Wu Yan nervously. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He accepted her request under her expectant gaze. "That's great." Asuna cheered and jumped up. "I'm finally in a party with you." Back on the first floor, Asuna kept an eye on Wu Yan when he said he couldn't find anyone to team up with him. She's been keeping an eye on him ever since. A year ago when she met Wu Yan again, she learned from Suda that Wu Yan is still a single person. She had an idea in her mind. She hoped that one day she would be able to team up with Wu Yan. Now that this little idea had finally been realized, Asuna felt as if the clouds had finally parted and the moon had finally seen the light. She felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from her heart. "Why are you so happy?" Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Asuna smiled happily. "You don't understand." Chapter 684. Aincrad, 74th floor, Camdetto. After coming out of the portal, Wu Yan yawned and stood in front of the platform, waiting for Asuna's arrival. Last night, the two finished a table full of super rare grade S ingredients. After that, Wu Yan agreed to meet with Asuna today and sent her back to Selmbrook's house on the 61st floor. Wu Yan arrived a bit late due to his lazing in bed. He's already past the appointed time. Wu Yan was about to get scolded by Asuna when he didn't see her. Wu Yan was a bit surprised by the fact that he didn't see her. Asuna wasn't the kind of person who didn't keep her promise. In the past, Asuna would always arrive on time. She was the kind of person who would rather be early than late. Not showing up after the agreed time was something that had never happened before. Did Asuna leave in a fit of anger because I'm late? Wu Yan glanced at his party interface. He opened his profile and started tracking Asuna's location. In SAO, there's no time limit for forming a party. If they want to, they can stay in the same party for as long as they want to. Ever since they formed a party with Asuna last night, they haven't been in the same party, and members of the same party can track the location of other members of the same party. Not only parties can track each other's location, but they can also track each other's location if they're in the same party. Because of this, it's very important to have friends in SAO. If you accidentally log in someone with bad intentions, it's the same as selling your location to them. It's not a joke in this dangerous world. For example, Wu Yen only has Asuna, Kirito, Sachi, Cheyenne, Silica, Suda, and the 3 founding members of the Moonlit Black Cats in his friend list. There's no more than 10 people in his friend list. With a party and friends logging in, Wu Yen easily tracked down Asuna's location. To Wu Yen's surprise, Asuna isn't on the 74th floor, nor is she on the 55th floor, Granzam, the headquarters of the Knights of the Blood. She's on the 61st floor, Selmbrook. Is Asuna really late? Wu Yen rubbed his chin and scratched his cheeks. He looked at the location shown on the map. Suddenly he remembered. In the original apartment, Asuna also formed a party with Kirito to explore the labyrinth. Her situation was similar to his, but she was entangled by her guard, Kuradil, on the second day. That's why she didn't arrive at the rendezvous point. Could it be that Kuradil's Asuna is entangled with Asuna's guard? The more he thought about it, the more Wu Yen felt it was possible. In the original apartment, Kuradil was watching Asuna's house even when she went home. If Asuna ran into him when she went out in the morning, she would have been entangled with him. Asuna didn't come back because she wanted to get rid of Kuradil. Furrowing his eyebrows, he turned towards the teleportation gate and he started thinking about something. In the original novel, Asuna jumped into the portal to get rid of Kuradil. She bumped into the main character of the original novel and got molested. Could it be that this time too? Wu Yen chuckled as he looked up at the portal platform. That's impossible, right? The portal in front of Wu Yen lit up, illuminating Wu Yan's stunned face. Then a familiar figure flew out of the portal. Get out of the way. Staring blankly at the petite figure pouncing on him, his last thought was it can't be that coincidental, right? Then he was hit by the soft human cannonball. Wu Yen reacted when he felt a soft touch on his body. He subconsciously reached out and hugged the body that was flying towards him. Mentally prepared, he steadied himself and forcefully resisted the weight on his body. He slid back for a distance before he managed to stop himself from falling to the ground. Phew! Wu Yen exhaled. Good thing I reacted fast enough. Before he could finish his sentence, he froze. His mouth slowly widened and his face was filled with disbelief. His head stiffly moved downwards. When he saw his current situation, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He could clearly see that the petite figure that was flying towards him was being carried in his arms in a princess carry position. The other party's face was still pressed against his chest at 0 distance. Perhaps it was because of the impact the other party seemed to be a little dizzy. Her little head kept shaking, and it took a long time for her to recover. That wasn't the most important thing. The most important thing was that one of his hands was pressing against her chest and the other was pressing against her buttocks. Feeling the super comfortable sensation, touch, and softness coming from his hands, he looked at the beauty in his arms in a daze. After a while, he pulled a smile that looked uglier than a crying face. Really? It can't be that coincidental, right? Maybe Wu Yen is just having a stroke of bad luck. While he maintained this ambiguous position with his hands in heaven, the girl who came flying towards him to deliver him benefits finally came back to her senses in a blink of an eye. The two of them stared at each other, neither of them saying a word. Just like that, they stood in the middle of the teleportation gates plaza in a pose that was enough to cause a scandal. If it weren't for the fact that there were no other players present, this scene would have become the headline of tomorrow's newspaper. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, he looked at the girl in his arms who is staring at him blankly. Realizing that if this goes on, things will get really bad. Holding the idea of dying early, he laughed dryly. Good morning, Asuna? His voice was like a clap of thunder that woke Asuna up. Asuna finally realized how bad her current situation is. She could feel the man's hands moving up and down her body. She could even feel the heat coming from his hands. She could even see the system notification that she had issued a protection order. This is clearly a violation of the rules of sexual harassment. If Asuna presses the OK button, Wu Yen will be instantly transferred to the Black Iron Palace's prison. Asuna's beautiful face slowly turned red, and her expression was one of extreme shame and anger. A few drops of tears hung from the corner of her eyes. Asuna's first reaction was not to press the OK button, but to let out a scream and slap him hard in the face. Slap. A crisp sound was heard. It wasn't the sound of a palm hitting a cheek, it was the sound of a hand grabbing another hand. Asuna. This is a misunderstanding. Wu Yen grabbed Asuna's hand and he placed it on the ground. He raised his hands in a surrendering gesture. You were the one who flew over, I was just catching you. Asuna immediately crossed her arms and took a few steps away from Wu Yen. She glared at Wu Yen as if she was looking at a pervert who was about to touch her. If Asuna's fans saw this, no matter how strong Wu Yan was, they would definitely challenge him. Wu Yan grinned sheepishly. He couldn't do anything about it. He wasn't in the wrong, but he was the one who took advantage of her. Whatever Asuna did to him was within reason. It's best if he didn't get into trouble with her. A murderous look appeared on Asuna's face. Asuna's expression kept changing. She looked like an executioner who was contemplating whether or not to draw her sword and kill someone. Her murderous look was mixed with a thick sense of shyness, which made Wu Yan's heart beat faster. This Asuna, she wouldn't throw me in jail as a pervert for sexual harassment, would she? Chapter 685. The two of them stood facing each other. One of them raised his hands in surrender with a look of embarrassment. The other crossed her arms in a defensive posture with a look of shame and anger. They were in a deadlock on the spot. But soon, on the transfer platform, a sudden bright light from the lake broke up the deadlock between the two of them. Asuna remembered something when she saw the flash of light. She didn't care that the person in front of her just took advantage of her. She quickly ran behind him and grabbed his clothes. She looked at the direction of the portal cautiously. Wu Yan didn't realize what was going on. He just stared blankly at Asuna's actions. A figure wearing white heavy armor with red edges appeared from the portal. Asuna's expression became even more vigilant when she saw the figure. Wu Yan was startled for a moment before he realized who it was. The person who came was Asuna's guard, Kuradil. Lady Asuna. Kuradil immediately noticed Asuna and Wu Yan as soon as he stepped out of the portal. His pupils shrank, but he pretended to be calm as he looked at Asuna. Lady Asuna, if you act on your own, it will cause me a lot of trouble. What do you mean act on my own? Asuna shouted angrily. There are no guild activities today and no raid quests. Don't I have the right to act on my own? Stop. Don't be so capricious, Lady Asuna. Kuradil waved the cloak on his back and walked down the portal platform. It's not like you don't know how dangerous it is for someone of your status to travel alone. That's why you have me as your bodyguard, isn't it? You don't have to. You don't have to tell me where I have to go. Asuna was angry at Kuradil's words. The guild doesn't say that I have to get permission from a guard like you to go anywhere, right? Why are you at my door so early in the morning? Early in the morning? Wu Yan narrowed his eyes and glanced at Kuradil. Is this guy really spying on Asuna? I'm just doing this for your safety, Lady Asuna. Kuradil walked towards Asuna with a straight face. All in all, it's dangerous to be out there alone. Asuna, please follow me back to the guild headquarters. Kuradil did not care whether Asuna was willing or not and walked towards her. It seemed like he was planning to take her away by force. As Kuradil approached, Asuna's expression changed. She tightened her grip on Wu Yan's clothes and shrunk her body inwards. Kuradil, on the other hand, ignored her and continued walking forward. Just as Kuradil was about to reach Asuna, Wu Yan moved. He took a step forward and stood in front of Kuradil, looking at him calmly. Kuradil stopped in his tracks. Looking at Wu Yan's calm expression, Kuradil gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, "Do you intend to interfere with our guild's internal affairs?" If it had been anyone else who dared to stand in his way, Kuradil would have hurled insults at them. After all, he had done so many times before. Unfortunately, the person standing in front of him was no ordinary player. He was not even a top player. He was a legendary figure. The Fey swordsman Wu Yan is widely acknowledged as the strongest player in SAO. His battle record is comparable to that of the clearers. Not only is he capable of soloing a floor boss, he also has the second unique skill in SAO. Even if any one of these stories were scattered, it would be enough to become a distant legend for the players, not to mention when all of them were put together. No matter how arrogant Kuradil is, no matter how strong his background is, he doesn't dare to insult the person in front of him, at least not on the surface. Because he can't afford to offend him. Don't try to pin a crime on me. Wu Yan shrugged and his lips curled into a grin. I'm just trying to protect my friend from being bullied. Bully? Kuradil was so angry that he started laughing. I am Asuna-sama's bodyguard. I am responsible for her safety. How dare you accuse me of bullying her? Bully? Have you ever seen a subordinate pressuring her superior? Wu Yan shifted his body to reveal Asuna, who was hiding behind him with a reluctant look on her face. Look at your vice leader and look at yourself. I'm sure no one would doubt that you're bullying her, right? Yes. I'm doing this for Asuna-sama's safety. Kuradil shouted. For Asuna-sama's safety, even if you accuse me of disrespecting my superior, I will accept it. You? Asuna was disgusted by Kuradil's righteous attitude. Although she didn't know Kuradiel's true colors, she would be the first to doubt his loyalty to her. Wu Yin shrugged helplessly. You can't pin a crime on me, so now you're trying to put a tall hat on your head? You said you're doing this for Asuna's safety, right? Wu Yin took a step forward and his gaze sharpened. Kuradiel was startled and took a step back. Then you can go back now. Wu Yin smiled. Today, I will be responsible for Asuna's safety. Wah. Kuradiel's face turned gloomy. Are you trying to say that I don't have the ability to protect Asuna? Wu Yin continued with an expressionless face. A hint of mockery could be seen in his eyes. Kuradiel opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he couldn't say anything. Instead, his skeleton-like face turned red from suffocation. Wu Yin doesn't have the ability to protect Asuna? Although Kuradiel wanted to say that, he knew he would become a laughingstock if he said it out loud. If even the Fey swordsman Wu Yin can't protect Asuna, then who else in Sao can? Kuradiel? He's not even worthy of carrying Asuna's shoes. Kuradiel might not know his place, but he's not an idiot. When the gap between him and Asuna is so big that he can't even imagine it, even if he doesn't know his place, he wouldn't dare to talk big. This is the deterrent effect Wu Yan's name has had in Sao for the past 2 years. Kuradiel's face turned green, but Wu Yan only chuckled. Wu Yan grabbed Asuna's hand and said coldly to Kuradiel. Asuna is with me today, you can report to the Knights of the Blood and tell Heathcliff that I said that. Wu Yan glanced at Kuradiel. I'm sure Heathcliff will do me a favor. After that, Wu Yan ignored Kuradiel's reaction and pulled Asuna towards the labyrinth. Kuradiel's face contorted as he watched the two of them walk away holding hands. His body began to tremble, and an indescribable murderous intent appeared in his eyes. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. On the way to the labyrinth, Asuna walked beside Wu Yan. Her chestnut-colored eyes never left Wu Yan's body. It made Wu Yan's hair stand on end. Why do you keep looking at me like that? Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Asuna and looked at the direction of the town. It's not that I want to criticize you, but you should get rid of that kind of guard as soon as possible. Asuna stopped smiling, sighed, and pulled herself together. I don't want to think about that today, I'm here to enjoy life. Before Wu Yan could react, Asuna ran forward and looked at Wu Yan with a beautiful smile on her face. You're especially handsome today. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he shook his head. Chapter 686. Aincrad's 74th floor labyrinth area. In a corner of the stairs of the stone tower, a chestnut-colored figure was entangled with a skeleton monster wearing armor and wielding a sword and shield. Their figures were constantly crossing each other and dodging. Sounds of weapons clashing could be heard, reverberating above the entire space. Wu Yan was standing not too far away. He watched as Asuna dodged the skeleton monster's attacks like a dancing butterfly. He nodded with a hint of admiration in his eyes. In Sao, players have 2 main attributes, stamina and dexterity. Every player would receive a certain amount of free attribute points when they leveled up. These free attribute points allowed players to freely choose between strength or agility to receive a certain amount of boost. Of course, there are only 2 attributes, but the player's personal stats and abilities are a lot more. For example, poison resistance and so on. There's a whole bunch of abilities, and if it wasn't for this, Wu Yan wouldn't have been so confused when he first entered the game. These 2 basic attributes are very important. A player's choice of attribute points will determine their future path. There are no items that can reset their attribute points, so they have to be careful. Wu Yan himself put all his points into stamina. His speed is mainly due to his equipment. Asuna, on the other hand, put all her points into dexterity. Players who put all their points into dexterity have a bigger advantage when fighting monsters because they have enough speed to protect themselves. Although it takes a long time to kill a monster due to their lack of stamina, this doesn't apply to Asuna. Asuna's stabbing speed is much faster than normal players. Her stabbing speed is so fast that it can't be seen by the naked eye, making up for her lack of attack power. She can stab a dozen times in a second. Even if her attack power isn't high, it's still very effective when combined. Not to mention, Asuna's equipment also boosted her attack power. With a stable damage output and enough dexterity to deal with all kinds of situations, she might not be able to fight a boss monster. But against a monster like this, even with Wu Yan's eyes, he couldn't find anything wrong with it. After repelling the skeleton monster with a single attack, Asuna landed on the ground and shouted at Wu Yan without looking back. Yen switch. After that, Asuna didn't care if Wu Yan heard her or not. He directly used a powerful assault sword technique with heavy attacks. The sword flashed with pink light and stabbed into the shield of the skeleton monster. Clang. A powerful force reverberated at the point of contact between the sword tip and the shield, and the skeleton monster's body trembled. Asuna couldn't help but be pushed back a few steps, but because she used a heavy sword skill, she couldn't move at all. Right at this moment, a figure flashed and instantly arrived behind the skeleton. Boom. Asuna's vision was blinded by the light of a sword skill. She couldn't help but squint her eyes. When she regained her vision, another sword skill flashed and the skeleton monster was sent flying. It let out a crisp cracking sound before it shattered into pieces. Asuna's mouth slowly turned into an O shape. Wu Yen glanced at the reward for killing the skeleton monster and walked to Asuna's side. He raised an eyebrow when he saw her expression. "Why do you look like you just saw a ghost?" Asuna finally reacted and she grabbed Wu Yan's collar. Wu Yen jumped in fright when he heard this. "You just used 2 heavy sword skills, right?" Wu Yen blinked and tilted his head in confusion. "Yeah, is there a problem?" "Problem? That's a big problem." Asuna raised her voice and her expression became fierce. "Why didn't you get stunned?" In the game, after using a sword skill, the user will be stunned for a while. The higher the attack power of a sword skill or the more consecutive sword skills, the longer the stun time would be. Just like Asuna, she fell into a stunned state after using a sword skill that dealt heavy damage. That's why switching in SAO is so important. When you're in a state of stun, switching with your party member can remove the monster's aggro, thus allowing your party member to recover from the stun. Of course, players could also increase their strength to reduce the duration of the stun. They could also chain their sword skills to achieve the maximum effect of their attacks and then fall into a stun state for a long time. However, no matter how much the stun time was reduced, the stun after using a sword skill would not disappear completely. There would still be a little stun. In addition, every sword skill had a cooldown. Hence, it was impossible for players to use the same sword skill twice within a short period. But just now Wu Yen used 2 heavy sword skills. Even if the cooldown time is short and the stun time is reduced because of his high stamina, there will be a short stun time between the 2 heavy sword skills. This short stun time is enough for the monster to catch the stun time and attack him. Once the monster attacks him, the second sword skill will be interrupted. Then how did Wu Yen manage to avoid being hit by the monster after using the first heavy attack, thus allowing him to use the second heavy attack? That's what Asuna wanted to know. After hearing Asuna's question, Wu Yen understood why Asuna reacted this way. He immediately explained. "I got stunned. Then why didn't the monster attack you? How could you use a heavy sword skill?" "That's because I dodged it." "Dodged it?" Asuna was dissatisfied. "Are you kidding me? How can you dodge the monster's attack when you're stunned? It's actually a small trick." Wu Yen shook his head and laughed. After looking around, Wu Yen found a lizard monster with a long sword and a shield. He turned around and looked at Asuna. "You'll see later." After saying that, Wu Yen took a step forward and rushed toward the lizard monster. With a slight lift of the heaven gazer in his hand, a sword skill's light flashed, illuminating the surroundings. At the same time, it attracted the monster's attention. But before it could react, the heaven gazer that carried the light with it crashed onto its body. Clang. As if on purpose, Wu Yan's attack deviated and landed on the lizard man monster's shield, pushing it a fair distance away. The lizard man monster roared and swung its katana at Wu Yen. Wu Yen fell into a state of paralysis. He couldn't move at all. Asuna raised her hands and covered her mouth. She couldn't believe what she saw. Because she saw Wu Yen dodge the monster's attack before it landed on Wu Yen. This is impossible." Asuna widened her eyes in disbelief. There's still time to stun. Before she could finish, another sword skill light flashed in front of her. Wu Yen landed another heavy attack on the monster and dodged it when it was stunned. If this scene was seen by others, they would probably scream that there's a bug in the game. But this time, Asuna had a look of realization. If one were to observe him closely, one would notice that after he used the sword skill, his body swayed a little just as he was about to enter a state of paralysis. Because of this, Wu Yen was able to dodge the monster's attack due to the inertia when he entered a state of paralysis. Asuna was speechless. What kind of audacity was this? Relying on the small movements of the body to avoid the opponent's attack and at the same time, slowing down the duration of the paralysis. This sounded very impressive, but one had to know that swinging the body to use the inertia before the monster attacked meant that when the monster attacked, it was very likely that when the monster attacked, instead of avoiding the attack, it was very likely that when the monster attacked, the player would collide with it. In other words, if you want to use this method, you must have super strong prediction skills. You must be able to predict the direction of the monster's attack. This is not something an average player can do. Chapter 687. Stiffness was a problem that the players had to pay attention to. After using a sword skill, the player would fall into a state of paralysis. During this period of time, the player would have lost all means to move. They would be unable to move. If they were not careful, it was very likely that they would receive a fatal blow. Normally, it would be fine if they were in a party. This was because when a player fell into a stunned state, the other party members could switch positions and take on the monster in the middle of the stunned state. That way, the player who had finished using the sword skill would be able to recover from the stunned state. However, at the same time, they did not dare to be careless. After all, standing still in the same spot was extremely dangerous. It was even more so for solo players. They did not have any teammates to switch to. They even had to hold back some of their sword skills. Generally, they would use sword skills with lower attack power so that the stun duration would not be too long. Then they would slowly grind down the monster's HP. Finally, they would use sword skills that dealt heavy damage to end the stun. Therefore, the issue of stiffness had always been a problem that the players had to pay attention to. However, such a problem that had to be taken seriously had become a performance in Wu Yan's hands. At the front, Wu Yan had fully demonstrated to Asuna what it meant to be a super high level of technique. He was able to make the player's body stiffen like a dancer's pose. While he was stiffened, he was able to use the inertia to repeatedly dash forward, dodge left, dodge right, and leap backward. Other than the fact that he was stiffened, it was no different from a performance. And after the stiffness, Asuna was stunned by the continuous flashes of heavy attack sword skill effects. Asuna has seen Wu Yan in action before. Even though Wu Yan is a solo player, she saw him fight the first floor's boss, the Christmas special boss, and even his duel with Heathcliff. In the past, Wu Yan had already left a strong impression on Asuna, but today Wu Yan taught her another lesson. The technique of using inertia to slow down the stiffness, and the incomparably powerful prediction ability. They were all telling Asuna this. He didn't just have brute force. With Wu Yan's frequent use of heavy sword skills, it did not take long for the lizardman's HP to hit rock bottom. A moment later, his body also disappeared. A crisp sound rang out. Turned into pieces. Wu Yan put away the heaven gazer and returned to Asuna's side. He couldn't help but laugh when he saw the silly look on her face. How is it? Did you see it clearly? I saw it clearly, Asuna answered subconsciously. Then he finally came back to his senses and smiled bitterly. Yin, you're amazing. No wonder you could solo the boss. I used to think that it was because of your excellent equipment and the help of your familiar. Now, I know that your strength is due to your own strength. Oh? Wu Yin looked at Asuna mockingly. Is our Flash Sama Asuna starting to worship me? Well, a little bit. Asuna replied non-committally. Then, she added as if she felt that she might make someone too proud. Just a little bit. I still have to thank you. Wu Yin smiled. Even a little bit of worship from our Flash Sama is enough to make anyone jealous. That's why you have to perform better. Asuna pouted and walked forward. You'll be the vanguard. Vaguada. In the next operation, Wu Yin became the vanguard. Whenever a monster appears, Wu Yin will rush forward and hold the monster's aggro while Asuna will switch positions from time to time. With their cooperation, the monsters in the labyrinth area are as fragile as the monsters in the wild. They couldn't stop Wu Yin and Asuna's advance at all times. This wasn't the first time Asuna felt that she had found herself a strong teammate. Yesterday, when she led her party into the labyrinth area, the Knights of the Blood needed at least 4 to 5 players to hold off a single monster. Even the stronger guild members needed at least 3 players to hold off a single monster. Asuna had to team up with 2 other teammates to stabilize the situation in the labyrinth area. Who would have thought that after teaming up with Wu Yin, the 2 of them would be able to play the role of at least 5 people? Moreover, it's very safe, there won't be any accidents because even if there is an accident, Wu Yin can handle it. A godlike teammate. That's probably what players like Wu Yin are talking about. As the 2 moved forward, the monsters they encountered along the way died one after another. They turned the monsters into EXP and COR coins. Sometimes, the monsters would even drop items that surprised Wu Yin and Asuna. Their progress was fast and the rewards were bountiful. For a while, the 2 of them were having a lot of fun. The labyrinth area is very large, but the monsters in the labyrinth area didn't give them any trouble at all. If there's anything the monsters brought them, it's the rewards. Asuna started to like the feeling of teaming up with Wu Yin. What I got in half a day is almost equivalent to what I usually get in 2 or 3 days. Asuna smiled happily as she looked at the items, coins, and EXP in her inventory. She seemed to be in a good mood. Although a large party could achieve the same progress as the two of them, but with more people in the party, the EXP and money gained would also be divided equally. Normally, Asuna wouldn't be able to enjoy the feeling of earning a lot of money, but today she was able to enjoy the feeling of earning a lot of money. She has to admit that with a strong teammate like Wu Yan, it's a lot easier to clear the labyrinth. It's a pity that we didn't find the boss room. Wu Yan sighed as he recorded the map of the labyrinth. If the boss room was that easy to find, you wouldn't be complaining about the clearers stealing your kills. Asuna joked, but as soon as she finished her sentence, her laughter stopped abruptly. Wu Yan stopped and looked in front of him. His eyes flashed with surprise, then he smiled and looked at Asuna who was standing next to him. What did you say just now? Asunaba clicked her tongue and finally uttered a sentence. You're not that lucky, are you? It's the boss room? That's right, the boss room. In front of them there was only one path left. They were surrounded by dark rocks and mines, and it was as quiet as a forest at night. There were no more monsters in sight, only a flat oval door at the end of the path. In the labyrinth area, there were all kinds of environmental factors. There were high mountains, snowy plains, rocky plains, and winding corridors like this one. However, the only place that had a door was the room of the boss of the floor. Looking at the tall door in the distance, Wu Yan's lips curled into a happy smile. He slowly reached out his hand and touched the hilt of Heaven Gazer on his back. I see it, the boss of the 74th floor is mine. Asuna was shocked and looked at Wu Yan. You're not thinking of challenging the boss yourself, are you? Are you going to wait for the clearers to come and snatch it from me? Wu Yan said angrily. He was about to walk forward when Asuna grabbed his hand. No. Asuna shouted firmly. Absolutely not. Why? Wu Yan was shocked. I have the ability to solo the boss. That won't do. Asuna glared at Wu Yan. Who knows what will happen? I can't control you if you're alone, but now that you're in my party, I won't let you take the risk alone. Then Asuna dragged Wu Yan in a different direction. She left him with one last sentence, followed by a scream of agony. Come back after you're done with your investigation. No. My boss. Chapter 688. Every floor, every labyrinth area has a safe zone similar to the town circle. Monsters won't appear around these safe zones, and even if monsters do appear, players won't be attacked as long as they are in the safe zone. Therefore, these safe zones are the resting places of the players who are clearing the labyrinth area. Wu Yan sighed for the umpteenth time in one of the safe zones. His tone was filled with resentment, and it annoyed Asuna who was sitting beside him. Hey, why are you so disappointed? Asuna turned her head away in dissatisfaction. The reward for killing the boss is great, but it shouldn't be necessary for you, right? The reward. The reward is secondary. Wu Yan said weakly, you won't understand. You won't understand the feeling of failure because someone else beat you to it? What? You make it sound like I'm forcing you. Asuna put her hands on her waist. It doesn't matter who kills the boss, the clearers aren't your enemies. Yes, you'd better buck up. Seeing Wu Yan's listless look, Asuna grabbed him by the waist and she twisted it with all her might. Wu Yan howled and almost jumped up from the ground. Are you trying to kill me? This kind of attack doesn't do any damage, it hurts. Then don't be so listless all the time. Asuna raised her chin and said in an annoyed tone, Get over that stiffness. Give me back the promise of killing the monsters in the labyrinth area. I can take care of those monsters with ease too. Wu Yan pursed his lips. Then he turned to Asuna and he started trying to get on her good side. Hey Asuna, just let me take on the boss. No. Asuna refused without hesitation. It's too dangerous. Why would it be dangerous? It's not like you don't know how strong I am. Wu Yan quickly followed up with a smile. He had no choice but to lower his head. Look, didn't I take care of the 72nd floor's guardian boss too? Of course I don't doubt your strength. Asuna lowered her head slightly. Her tone was a bit depressed. But what if there's an accident? Asuna is the person in charge of the clearers. It's not the first time she's faced a floor boss, so naturally, it's not the first time she's seen it with her own eyes. But because of a small accident there were casualties. Asuna knows how strong Wu Yan is. He's so strong that she can only look up to him. But she's afraid. She's afraid that if something goes wrong, it will change her fate. The person who comforted her, cooked for her, and made her happy will die. Asuna can't imagine what would happen to her if that really happened. Asuna's depressed tone and gloomy expression made Wu Yan's smile fade. He sighed and pulled Asuna's hand up. Asuna was startled. She reflexively looked up at Wu Yan and saw that familiar smile. "Don't worry." Wu Yan chuckled. His tone was firm. "I'm not going to die." Asuna's eyes flickered. She looked down at her hand that's being held by Wu Yan. She turned her hand around and tightly held onto Wu Yan's hand. A smile appeared on her face. "You said it, we've made a promise?" Wu Yan shook his head with a smile. Yes, we've made a promise. You can't lie to me. Who do you think I am?" Wu Yan puffed up his chest and said confidently, "Do I look like someone who doesn't keep his promises?" Asuna giggled. She grabbed onto Wu Yan's hand and placed it on her chest. "You're the Fey swordsman, the strongest player in the world. Of course you're not an idiot." Wu Yan rubbed his nose and rolled his eyes. "Then can I challenge the boss now?" "No. Just let me go, I'll just run away if things go south, okay?" "No means no. I don't care what you say. I won't do it." Wu Yan's face was covered in tears. At this moment, in front of them, a wave of ripples suddenly entered their ears, as if someone had passed through a teleportation door. The two of them jumped in fright and quickly let go of their tightly clenched hands. Their faces were slightly red as they looked towards the source of the sound. The two of them were stunned at the same time. They saw a group of people wearing different styles but the same style of clothing walking over from the front. As they walked, they let out sighs of tiredness. It seemed like they had traveled a long way to reach this place. The leader of the group was wearing Japanese armor with a katana hanging from his waist. He looked like a samurai. Beside him was a pretty boy wearing a black leather coat and carrying a one-handed sword. "Kirito?" Wu Yan exclaimed when he saw the pretty boy in the black leather coat. "Oh, that's..." Asuna looked at the samurai in Japanese armor. "Klein from Furinkazan?" Kirito looked up when he heard someone calling out to him. When he saw Wu Yan and Asuna, he gasped in surprise. "Why are you guys here?" Klein and the other members of Furinkazan were stunned when they saw Asuna standing next to Wu Yan. That's... Klein stuttered as he pointed at Asuna. "Isn't that Miss Asuna?" Klein looked at Asuna then Wu Yan. He couldn't wrap his head around what was going on. Fairy swordsman Wu Yan? Flash, Asuna? They're together? Wu Yan and Asuna looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Was it unusual for the two of them to team up together? Just as this thought appeared in their minds, someone revealed the answer for them. "Why are you guys in the labyrinth together?" Kirito tilted his head in confusion. "Are you guys teaming up? That's too unusual." At this moment, the people from Elements also came back to their senses. Their expressions slowly became agitated. Isn't that Miss Asuna?" "What? Miss Asuna?" The 5 Furinkazan members charged at Wu Yan and Asuna with lightning speed. The two didn't realize what was going on and they took a step back in unison. You guys," Klein shouted. Then his expression changed and he ran over as well. "Let me talk to Miss Asuna too." "Klein, you?" Kirito couldn't help but cover his eyes as if he had made a bad friend. Wu Yan shuddered at the sight of the 6 stinky men surrounding him. He quickly retreated. Asuna, on the other hand, is in the middle of the 6 stinky men. She put her hands in front of her to protect herself. Cold sweat dripped down her forehead and she had an embarrassed look on her face. "See, calm down?" Asuna shouted but her voice was drowned out by the 6 men's shouts. She looked at Wu Yan for help. Wu Yan blinked and looked at the embarrassed Asuna with a smirk. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and waited for a good show. Helplessly, Asuna turned to look at Kirito. But instead of asking for help, she looked at him with a threatening gaze. Kirito, who was standing not far away, trembled and shouted, "Hey, don't cross the line." Unfortunately, Kirito's voice had long been ignored by the old men in heat. "You guys." Kirito was furious and rushed forward. "Enough is enough." The 7 of them started to wrestle with each other. Chapter 689. While the 7 of them were messing around, Asuna was embarrassed, and Wu Yan was gloating over their misfortune. Suddenly, a series of metallic footsteps rang out. Everyone stopped what they were doing and turned towards the source of the sound with furrowed brows. What they saw was a group of people wearing the same bronze metal armor and capes. Their equipment seemed to have been specially designed. They wore steel helmets with the edges pressed very low, making it impossible for the crowd to see their faces and expressions clearly. At this moment, the members of the party were marching in an orderly manner, as if they were all NPCs controlled by the system. However, they all had expressions on their faces as they gasped for breath. Wu Yin, Asuna, Kirito, Klein, and the rest of Furinkazan's members frowned when they saw the group's attire. The happy atmosphere froze. Their eyes flashed with annoyance. It's obvious that they don't have a good impression of these people. In SAO, the only people who would dress like a soldier are from the military. Wu Yin, Asuna, and Kirito looked at each other. Wu Yin was the only one who looked nonchalant. He didn't even bother to look at the military. He curled his lips and leaned against the rock behind him. He looked around in boredom. Klein furrowed his brows tightly as he looked at the members of the army, who were walking towards him from afar. A puzzled expression appeared on his face. Why are they here? Asuna's eyes were also filled with confusion. Previously, when we were raiding the 25th floor's guardian boss, we suffered heavy casualties. The army has already withdrawn from the front lines and prioritized strengthening the guild. So they should be active on the first floor. Why are they at the front lines this time? Every 25 floors in Aincrad was a dividing line. The first floor, the 25th floor, the 75th floor, and the 100th floor. The bosses on these 4 floors were undeniably powerful, to the point that it was hard to fathom how powerful they were. The military reaped what they sowed. In order to compete with other guilds, they went to challenge the 25th floor's boss without careful investigation. As a result, the largest guild in SAO had to withdraw from the front lines and recuperate. It was also because of their example that the players began to realize that the bosses of the 1st and 25th floors were unreasonable compared to the bosses of the other floors. If the bosses of the normal floors were considered to be on par with the players in terms of strength, then the bosses of the 4 floors that were like the dividing line between the players and the other floors would be so powerful that it would be a burden to the players. That's why the clearers were able to clear the 50th floor with extreme caution. That's why the clearers were able to clear all the way up to the 74th floor. The military, on the other hand, has been leveling up on a safer floor ever since they suffered a lot of casualties. As for the front lines, they've long lost sight of them. If it wasn't for the resurrection item from the last Christmas event, the military would have given up on that event. It's not hard to imagine how surprised the military's sudden appearance on the 74th floor was. Under the crowd's gazes, the army slowly moved towards Kieran's side. When they reached the safe zone, the leader of the group turned around and shouted, "Hey! Everyone take a break." As soon as he said that, the members of the military who were lined up neatly behind him heaved a sigh of relief. They slumped to the ground and didn't want to get up anymore. It's obvious that they've been exercising a lot before coming here. While the rest of the players slumped to the ground, the leader of the players turned his gaze to Wu Yan's group. He was stunned for a moment when he saw Wu Yan, but he quickly recovered. It's obvious that he recognized Wu Yan's identity. As if he's hesitating about something, he stood there for a moment before shifting his head to look at Wu Yan's position. Others couldn't see his expression, but if they did, they'd notice that his eyes were filled with dread. After all, after the last Christmas special event, almost every player knew that the army and the Holy Spirit Alliance worked together to put pressure on the Fey Swordsmen, only to be defeated in the end. Ever since then, the relationship between the two guilds has been strained. However, the leader of the players still came to the front and said to Kirito, "I am Lieutenant Colonel Kobats of the Aincrad Liberation Army." Many people, including Wu Yan and Asuna, snorted when they heard Kobats' self-introduction. Due to the fact that the army was too rigid in their ways, the players called them the army in order to mock them. Their real name was Aincrad's Liberation Army. Who would have thought that this guy would call himself a lieutenant colonel? Isn't he just admitting that he's being mocked by the players? Kirito didn't know what he's feeling, so he said, "Kirito, a solo player." Kobats nodded lightly, and then his tone started to carry some unknown arrogance. "Have you guys reached the area in front of us?" Kirito shook his head and said, "No, we just got here. Is that so?" Kobats said with a doubtful tone. Kirito, Klein, and Furinkazan's members were a bit annoyed. Asuna hesitated for a bit and said, "We got here early, so we've already explored the area ahead. We even recorded the map in front of the boss room." "Oh?" Kobats turned his head towards Asuna and extended his hand towards her in a matter-of-fact tone. "Then please give us the map file." Other than Wu Yan, everyone else was shocked by Kobats' words. Klein yelled in a rough voice while pointing at Kobats. "Hey, you want us to give it to you for free? Do you know how hard it is to explore the labyrinth?" Kobats' face stiffened and he shouted without any self-awareness. "We are fighting to save the players from this world as soon as possible. So, for the sake of all players, it is your duty to help us. If he spoke shamelessly, it immediately made everyone present burn with anger. Wu Yan's eyes flashed with a cold glint. He arrived in front of Kobat's in an instant. He reached out with one hand and placed it on Kobat's neck. Beads of cold sweat started dripping down from Kobat's helmet. Only now did he remember that Wu Yan is still here. Showing off your disgusting attitude in front of me? Wu Yan tightened his grip on Kobat's neck. You've got guts. Kobat's trembled and couldn't say a word. In SAO there's no rule that says you'll lose HP if you suffocate, but Kobat's felt like he's getting closer and closer to death. Yen. Asuna grabbed Wu Yan's hand and looked at Kobat's. Her voice turned hostile. I can give you the map file, but I hope you'll disappear from our sight. Asuna didn't ask for Wu Yan's opinion and shared her map file with Kobat's. Wu Yan pursed his lips and let go of Kobat's neck. Kobat's immediately ran away like he was running for his life. Chapter 690. Seeing Kobat's leading the army out of the safe zone, everyone's eyes flashed with slight disdain. Although the name of the army was Aincrad's Liberation Army, they never participated in the clearest raid after the 25th floor. Instead, they used the name of Glory to occupy the players' leveling spots and obtain some rare resources. Not only that, but they also claimed that they were doing it for the sake of the players, which made the players who were dissatisfied with the army not dare to voice their dissatisfaction. The army has been using this tactic for a long time, but ever since they suffered at the hands of Wu Yan during the Christmas event, the army has one more person they can't deal with on their blacklist. This is why Kobat's didn't approach Wu Yan when he first saw him. If Wu Yan wasn't there, he would have used the army's tactic to get the resources they need. But the fact is, even if Wu Yan was there, Kobat's would have done the same. It's easy to imagine how bad the army's behavior is. People who bully the weak and fear the weak, let alone the straightforward Klein, even Asuna, who usually doesn't care about such things, started to look down on them. Otherwise, Asuna wouldn't have said something like, disappear from my sight, in a normal situation. Klein pursed his lips after the army disappeared from his sight. Those guys, are they okay? Aside from Kobat's, the rest of the army looked exhausted. It's too dangerous for them to move around the labyrinth in this state. If they don't know their limits and challenge the boss. Asuna seemed to have thought of this as well, and a worried look appeared on her face. They won't challenge the boss directly, right? Wu Yan coldly snickered. In the original work, these guys overestimated themselves and went to challenge the floor boss, resulting in casualties. Looking at the current situation, even with Wu Yan's deterrence, Kobat's will still lead his party into the boss room. In other words, if something went wrong, the members of this army would be completely annihilated. Wu Yan didn't say those words out loud. He didn't have a good impression of the army. Plus, they're just asking for their own deaths. Why should he be concerned about whether they live or not when other people are asking for it? If it's someone else, even if he doesn't know them, Wu Yan would have done his best to save them out of kindness. But since it's these shameless guys, he doesn't care if they die. Wu Yan isn't as soft-hearted as Kirito and the others. His soft-heartedness varies from person to person. He's not a saint who treats people fairly. However, it's obvious that the others have different opinions. Let's go take a look. Kirito frowned and looked at Klein and the others. Klein and the others smiled and gave him a look of approval. Kirito smiled as well. Yen. Asuna tugged at Wu Yan's sleeve and looked into his eyes. Let's go take a look too. I'm worried. Are you going to be a good person too? Wu Yan shook his head with a bitter smile. Asuna sighed softly. I'm the one who provided the map. If something happens to them because of me, are you going to feel guilty? Wu Yan didn't know what to say. That's right. If he were to sell the labyrinth map file, he would be able to make a lot of money. Asuna gave it to someone else for free. Now that the other party is dead, she's feeling guilty about it. Wu Yan can't help but feel helpless about it. Asuna rolled her eyes at Wu Yan. Anyway, let's go take a look. Fine? Wu Yan pulled a long face. He's not in a good mood. She didn't want to challenge the boss and now she's persuading him to go because of a bunch of annoying people. Is there anything worse than this in the world? Kirito was also confused. Speaking of which, why didn't you challenge the boss since you found it? Kirito looked at Wu Yan. With your strength and temper, there's no reason for you not to challenge the boss's room, right? Yeah, I didn't expect this either. Wu Yan wanted to cry but no tears came out. But I have a housekeeper at home, what can I do? Hearing this, Kirito was stunned for a moment. Then he looked at Asuna, whose face was starting to turn red, and smiled. You're right, with your personality as a housekeeper, I don't think he'd let you take the risk. Who's his housekeeper? Asuna glared at Kirito. Her blushing face and guilty tone revealed her true thoughts. Even Wu Yen was shocked. Heaven and earth can testify that he was just joking. Wu Yen, Asuna, Kirito, Klein, and Furin-Kazan made a total of 9 people. They followed the army into the labyrinth area. Crisp noises of the monsters' bodies shattering echoed in the surroundings, proving that the journey wasn't peaceful for the 9 of them. It also proved that the army didn't attack the monsters. Instead, they went past the monsters and headed deeper into the forest. Otherwise, the 9 of them wouldn't have picked up the monsters while following the army. This situation made everyone feel a little uneasy. Instead of dealing with these monsters, they went past them. This proved that their goal was not to conquer the labyrinth area. As they went deeper into the dungeon, Asuna realized that they were heading towards the boss's room. They're not really going to challenge the final boss, are they? Asuna couldn't believe what she was seeing. She tried to spot the army, but she was disappointed. I don't think so, Kirito mumbled. Maybe they used the teleportation crystal to go back so they didn't clear the monsters. Before Kirito could finish his sentence, something strange happened. A miserable shriek suddenly resounded from the front and was transmitted into the ears of everyone present. It was like a giant hammer that weighed tens of thousands of kilograms, ruthlessly striking the hearts of everyone present, causing their pupils to violently shrink. These bastards. Kirito gritted his teeth and rushed out. Yen? Asuna looked at Wu Yen anxiously. Wu Yen nodded. Let's go. Wu Yen and Asuna rushed out with Kirito. The 3 of them pushed their agility to the limit and turned into a gust of wind. Soon, the door to the boss's room appeared in front of them. However, their faces darkened when they saw it. That's because the door was already open. A bunch of idiots. Asuna bit her lips and increased her speed. In the next moment, the 3 of them appeared in front of the door and looked inside. What they saw made Kirito and Asuna's faces change drastically. From the entrance all the way to the inside, a flame-like path burned in a circular manner, embellishing the room with numerous fire lamps. The light blue flames illuminated the entire circular room, but the flames were abnormally cold, causing fear in people's hearts. In the middle of the room, there was a tall figure wrapped in bulging muscles. Its dark blue skin had a faint metallic luster to it. Above its chest was not a human head but a goat's head. Its thick, curved horns stood tall from both sides of its head, and its entire body was covered in dark blue fur. It stood upright on the ground, its eyes burning with a bluish-white flame. It raised its head and let out a thunderous roar that shook the entire area. Roar, it was like a demon. Chapter 691. Blue and white flames sprayed out from the floor in a ring-shaped pattern. The boss had its back facing the door. Its ferocious mouth was spitting out fiery gas. In its right hand was a huge greatsword. It brandished the greatsword left and right, striking the ground on the opposite side. In front of it, there's a group of minuscule figures standing in front of it. It's the members of the army. Ah. The greatswords mercilessly rained down on them, taking away their HP one by one. The army members had no choice but to fend off the onslaught. The disciplined and orderly formation that Wu Yen and Ko saw earlier was long gone. What was left behind were fearful screams and screams of terror. The boss is spitting out blue flames, and it's hitting everyone, causing their HP to drop again and again. Right now, none of the members of the army, including Kobats, have green HP, which means that they've lost half of their HP. On the other hand, the boss had a total of 4 HP bars, but not even the top bar had been emptied. Kirito and Asuna were stunned by this hellish scene. What are you doing? Kirito clenched his fist and shouted. What are you waiting for? No. A member of the army screamed while holding a teleportation crystal in his hand. You can't use the crystal. Kirito and Asuna's body shook, and their faces froze. The crystal can't be used, which means the boss room is immune to crystals. How is this possible? Asuna covered her mouth and resisted the urge to retreat. Her body trembled as she watched the members of the army losing HP. In the past, there's never been a crystal immune zone in the boss room, but now there's a fatal trap. Just like the time when they challenged the 25th floor's boss, it was still the members of the army who showed everyone how dangerous it was. With their lives, roar. The boss let out a furious roar and spat out a deadly breath. The breath hit the opposing army and blew them all away. What followed was a series of blood-curdling screams and their HP bars plummeting. Klein and the others have already caught up to them. They looked at the scene in front of them and their eyes were filled with fear and struggle. They wanted to save them but they didn't dare to do it. Going up to rescue them would mean that they would have to go past the Guardian boss, who had its back facing them. Only then would they be able to reach the army members. If that happened, they might be the ones who would die. They had to hesitate, including Kirito, including Asuna. While they were hesitating, in the next moment, a figure flew out from under the boss and flew into the air. His HP slowly decreased until it reached the bottom. It's Kobatsu. No. Don't. Asuna lowered her head, and her hand trembled. She wanted to grab the sword by her waist but she couldn't. She screamed in pain. Wu Yin stared at Asuna. His eyes flashed with pain when he saw Asuna's reaction. Wu Yin looked at the members of the army who were struggling against the boss. He narrowed his eyes and sighed. Asuna, Kirito, and Klein heard his sigh clearly. Consider yourselves lucky. Wu Yan's figure started fading away. Asuna and the others felt a gust of wind blowing past them. Wu Yan's figure flashed past them and he rammed into the boss with a flash of sword light. Bam! A thunderous sound like a heavy hammer striking a golden bell reverberated throughout the room. The intense sound caused everyone to feel dizzy for a moment. Meanwhile, the boss's huge body was sent flying to a corner of the room, crashing into a wall. Kirito was overjoyed and he quickly shouted at Klein and the others. Quick! Yin is attacking. This is the best chance to save them. It was only then that Klein and the others realized that the army members who were originally blocked by the boss were now unobstructed. Their faces immediately tensed up as they rushed towards the direction of the boss and led them towards the exit. Yin? Asuna yelled in the direction of the boss. Her face was filled with anxiety. Don't worry. Kirito also ran toward the army and he shouted without looking back. With that guy's skills, the boss won't be able to do anything to him. Asuna didn't relax after hearing Kirito's words. She didn't move her eyes away from the boss, and she clenched her fists in front of her chest. Her heart was in her throat. Oh God, please don't let anything happen to him. Asuna's response was a deafening muffled sound and two figures were sent flying. Wu Yin was sent flying and he saw that his HP dropped by a small chunk. He turned around in the air to adjust his posture, and then he landed on one knee on the ground. Wu Yin held the Heaven Gazer in one hand, and he looked at the boss who was also sent flying, and he was struggling to get up. His expression was very serious. If you look closely, you'll see that Wu Yan's hand holding the Heaven Gazer is trembling. As expected of the 74th floor's boss. Wu Yin stood up and looked at the boss. In terms of strength, it's not something I can handle. Roar? As if answering Wu Yin, the boss roared with a ferocious expression. It opened its mouth wide and a dense wave of energy came out of its mouth. Be careful. Asuna yelled. This boss has a special attack, huh? Kirito gritted his teeth and he looked like he's in trouble. Wu Yin looked at the boss coldly, and he waved his hand to bring up his personal interface. He tapped on it a few times, and a small humanoid sprite appeared out of thin air and flew beside him. It's a healing sprite. Asuna sighed in relief. The healing sprite can restore 20% of Wu Yan's HP every minute. With it, Wu Yan will be much safer. The boss seemed to be angered by Wu Yan's actions, and it spat out a deadly flame towards Wu Yan. Wu Yan didn't retreat, he lowered his body and shot towards the boss like an arrow. Asuna and the others' hearts almost jumped out of their chests when they saw this. They watched in horror as Wu Yan rushed into the boss's attack. Wu Yan's HP dropped by a large chunk in a matter of seconds and it's still dropping. Although it didn't drop to yellow, it's only a matter of time before it drops to yellow. Wu Yan turned a blind eye to it. He charged at the boss like a warrior who is ready to face death. He waved his hand in front of his face. At the entrance, everyone saw a blurry figure going against the flow of flames and charging towards the boss. There was also a faint flash of light and then they saw it. Two beautiful arcs of light shot out from the boss's breath, and they danced in front of the blurry figure. Wherever the arcs of light passed, the boss's breath was cut in half, and then the arcs of light smashed into the boss's body. Bang! The boss was sent flying again, and Wu Yan's figure appeared in front of everyone. When they saw Wu Yan, they all gasped in shock. That's dual sword style. That's right. Wu Yan was holding a sword in each hand. Chapter 692. The little humanoid fairy drew a beautiful arc in the air, then circled above Wu Yan's head. At the same time, A flurry of snowflake-like particles fell on Wu Yan's body. In the next second, Wu Yan's HP bar, which had been reduced by 1/3, was restored to almost full. His body tilted slightly and his hands tilted downwards. 2 black long swords of different sizes were held in his hands. One of them was as tall as a person and more than 1.7 meters long, while the other was about 1 meter long and about the same size as an ordinary longsword. However, the 2 swords were shining with an extraordinary luster. Heaven Gazer. Elucidator, the dual sword style that Soren had kept for a long time, and he had not used it since the battle with Heathcliff, was finally going to be revealed once again. If Wu Yan was alone, he wouldn't mind taking his time with the boss. The boss may be stronger than him, but with the support of the healing fairy and the support of infinite arms refinement, even if he doesn't use dual blade stream, he is confident that he can kill the boss. But now he was not alone here, and the number of accidents had increased by a lot. He did not care, but if something went wrong and Asuna and the others were implicated, Wu Yan would have no time to regret it. At this time, hiding his strength would only increase the number of unnecessary accidents. Therefore, even if it was just a little bit of uncertainty, Wu Yan decided to give it his all. Starburst Stream, Starburst Airflow / the Heaven Gazer and Elucidator in his hands flashed with a unique light effect unique to sword skills. Wu Yan took a step forward and stomped on the ground like a flash of light. When he reappeared, he was already in the air, floating in front of the boss. Wu Yan's eyes flashed fiercely. Bow. Bow, bow, bow. Asuna looked at the dancing figure in a daze, her eyes were full of ripples. Kirito and the others widened their eyes and clenched their fists. Excitement could be seen on their faces. Bow, 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 Asuna. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, bow, bow. Kirito. Bow, 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 bow. Yan. Are you okay? Are you hurt? Bow. Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh. What are you talking about? There's no such thing as getting hurt in SO. Can't you see that my HP is full? How dare you? But I'm fine. Wu Yan smiled bitterly. Bow. Bow, 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 bow. Klein grabbed Wu Yan's head and rubbed it as hard as he could. As expected of the strongest player. It's not just for show. Is that the dual blade stream? That's so cool. Bow. Both of them are good friends. Why do I feel like you're no different from a normal monster in the wild? Kirito joked. Wu Yan curled his lips in disdain. Why don't you test the strength of a wild monster? You'll know. Bam. Bow. Kirito waved his hand. Seeing this, Klein laughed out loud. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and his smile slowly disappeared as he lowered his head. It's a shame that Kobats is dead. Everyone stopped smiling when they heard Klein's words. Wu Yan took a deep breath and he looked around at everyone. No matter what, it's our victory this time. Let's all be happy. You're right? Kirito, Klein and the others smiled. Wu Yan nodded. Suddenly he felt his shirt being pulled. Wu Yan turned around and saw Asuna's delicate face. I didn't get to enjoy life this time? Asuna pursed her lips and stared at Wu Yan. You have to take responsibility. Wu Yan was stunned. Chapter 693. In the floating city of Aincrad, as long as there are players on any floor, they would gather in groups of 2s and 3s to talk about something. Even solo players are rarely seen in such a crowded place. Even though they don't speak much, they're still a qualified audience. In an instant, the number of players in the wilderness, labyrinth area, and other areas decreased sharply. Towns, inns, and other places were filled with players. They expressed their excitement to each other, and when they talked, spittle flew everywhere. And the only topic in their mouths was about clearing the 74th floor. After a few months, the Fey swordsman Wu Yan once again soloed the boss and cleared the 74th floor. This news is enough to make the players who consider Wu Yan a legend feel excited for a few days. After all, they're one step closer to leaving this world. Of course, most of the players were immersed in the joy of clearing the level. However, there were also some players who began to race towards the 75th floor, hoping to occupy some advantageous conditions earlier, such as looking for quests or collecting some resources on the new floor. There were also some who set their sights on the wilderness and the labyrinth area, probing the strength of the monsters on the 75th floor. Of course, these people are the clearers who are actively trying to raid the dungeon. However, it was easy to notice that there were players from Knights of the Blood Oath, Divine Dragon Alliance, and even the army on the 75th floor, but there were no players from Moonlit Black Cats or Furin Kazan on the other side. That's because they're currently gathered in a hotel on the 50th floor of Aincrad for a celebration. Cheers. Wu Yen, Asuna, Kirito, Liz, Sachi, Cheyenne, Silica, Klein, Suda, Moonlit Black Cats, and Furin Kazan's higher-ups all raised their glasses and cheered. Even Agile was there. The atmosphere was at its peak. Looking at the crowd surrounding the hotel, Wu Yen helplessly curled his lips. It's not like I've never cleared a floor before. Is there a need to celebrate? I've cleared a few floors before, but you weren't there. Kirito took a sip of his drink and said with a smile, "You've cleared almost a third of the floors in Aincrad, but every time you cleared it alone, you'd disappear without a trace. Let's consider this a celebration for all the floors you cleared." Wu Yen rolled his eyes and said to Kirito, "Of course it's none of your business. I'm the one who booked the hotel and everyone's expenses." "What's the matter?" Asuna, who was standing next to Wu Yen, patted Wu Yan's shoulder. "You have so much money, why don't you share it with everyone? Plus, even if you booked the hotel, it's not even a fraction of your money, right?" "That's true." Wu Yen pursed his lips. He glanced at the people around him who were grinning at him and he didn't know what to say. "But why do I feel like I've been caught red-handed?" Don't mind it. Klein rushed to Wu Yan's side and put his arm around his shoulder while raising his glass. "You're the main character today, don't complain." "Yeah, Oni-san." Sachi tilted her head with a faint smile on her face. Her smile was faint, but her eyes curved into crescents. It's obvious she's in a good mood. "In this world, I have never participated in such a celebration before. I like this feeling very much." Yeah. Silica nodded and couldn't wait to smile. "Everyone in my site is smiling. I've never seen anything like this before, but it's a great feeling. I love it too." All right, I can't out-talk you guys." Wu Yen shook his head with a bitter smile. Seeing Wu Yan's bitter smile, everyone couldn't help but laugh out loud. Cheyenne rolled her eyes and teased him. "I wonder how lively the banquet would be if I went out and yelled, 'Wu Yen is here right now?'" "Oh, please don't be naughty." Wu Yen raised his hand weakly. Liz crossed her arms and looked at Cheyenne. "If you really do that, we won't be able to continue the party. I think Asuna is more attractive than Yen." Kirito rubbed his chin and said thoughtfully, "I think it'll be more interesting if we go out and shout, 'Asuna is here.'" Wu Yen felt a chill run down his spine when he heard Kirito's words. He laughed awkwardly. "At that time, the invitations for duels will also come in an endless stream." "Yeah." Cheyenne hugged Asuna with a smirk. "And Asuna will be drowned in the crowd. Please don't do that." Asuna's face was conflicted as if she was imagining that scene. But more than that, she felt the same way. This isn't the first time she's been through something like that, right? For example, she was surrounded by Furin Kazan on the 74th floor. "I say Kirito." Wu Yen poked Kirito's waist with his elbow and pointed in a direction with a blank expression. "Are you sure you're okay with calling other girls attractive in front of your girlfriend?" Kirito's expression froze. His neck snapped like a puppet without oil as he turned towards the direction Wu Yen pointed at. Liz's gloomy face entered his sight and Kirito's heart started beating faster. "Psst, Liz." Kirito's eyebrows started to twitch. Liz glanced at him and snorted. Then she walked to another table. Kirito shrunk his head and followed her. Wu Yen, Klein, Suda, and the others looked at Kirito with pity. They cursed Kirito inwardly, but at the same time, they admired Liz for her bravery. She actually managed to turn the reclusive, black swordsman Kirito into a henpecked husband. This isn't something an ordinary person can do. As expected of the valiant Liz, Klein smirked and glanced at Kirito and Liz's situation. "Looks like that guy still has a long way to go. How dare you say that?" Suda popped up and mercilessly attacked him. "They're still underage and they're already a couple. You're already in your 20s and you're still single, right?" Klein's face stiffened, his shoulders drooped, and a decadent aura enveloped his body. However, he quickly came back to life. Facing Keita, he scolded fiercely, "Aren't you also in your 20s? You're the same as me." "Allah, that's where you're wrong." Shireen, who was standing at the side, suddenly revealed a piece of shocking news. "The president has a girlfriend." "What?" Everyone present cried out in shock. Turning to look at Keita, who was scratching his head and smiling foolishly, all of them couldn't remain calm. Klein roared with a look of disbelief. Impossible. That's impossible. Meh. I can testify as well. Silica raised her hand as if she's an elementary school student. The president's girlfriend is from our guild. I've seen her before. I was lucky enough to see her too. Everyone immediately turned to look at Sachi, their eyes filled with curiosity. Sachi hurriedly explained, I didn't go there on purpose. I just happened to pass by and saw the guild leader and that girl walking into the guild headquarters hand in hand. Oh, everyone stretched out their voices and started teasing him. I didn't expect him to hide it so well. They're even holding hands, just to the extent of holding hands. Keita blushed and lowered his head. Don't overthink it, everyone laughed out loud. Only Klein looked as if he had been deceived by the world. He knelt down on the ground in disappointment. His back was covered in darkness. As a result, everyone laughed even louder. Chapter 694. If an outsider were to be present at the party right now, he or she would definitely be shocked by the joyous scene. In this world where death is a constant threat, there are people who entertain themselves and have fun in small groups, but it's rare to see a hotel full of joy like this. As a result, everyone was immersed in this banquet. At this moment they forgot about the strategy, the death of this game world, and the cruel reality. Everyone gathered together and laughed happily. There was a kind of atmosphere of drinking today and drinking in the morning atmosphere. Even the victim Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh when he saw the atmosphere. He's starting to think that his investment this time wasn't in vain after all. At least it was worth it to see these heartfelt smiles. He turned around and looked at Asuna, who seemed to have sensed his gaze and turned around as well. Their eyes met, and it's as if they could read each other's mind. Both of them smiled at the same time. When this happened, the entire hotel went silent. The sudden silence made Wu Yan and Asuna feel strange. They turned around to face everyone, and the scene in front of them shocked them. Everyone stopped what they were doing. Their expressions turned serious as they stared at Wu Yan and Asuna. Their eyes flashed with a strange light that sent chills down the spines of Wu Yan and Asuna's spines. Wu Yan and Asuna took a step back at the same time. What are you doing? Cheyenne looked at Wu Yan, then she looked at Asuna. She looked back and forth between the two of them. After a while she said, Didn't you guys notice that you entered a world of just the two of you a moment ago? A two-person world, just the two of us. Asuna blushed. Wu Yan twitched his lips and he chuckled sheepishly. Is that so? I didn't feel anything. Liz took a step forward, her eyes were filled with curiosity and slyness. Oh, it looks like there's something going on between the two of you. Despite saying that, Liz's expression was one of absolute certainty. After all, she had already noticed Asuna's feelings for Kirito even before she got together with him. Later on, when she saw the way the two of them interacted with each other as if they were enemies, she finally understood everything. Now she just had to bring it all out in the open. Wu Yan and Ison, you're so naughty? Silica pouted. Why didn't you tell anyone that you're with Asuna? You're just as sly as the president. Asuna was shocked, her face turned red and she quickly shook her head. No, we're not together. Everyone became even more suspicious when they saw Asuna's reaction, and they started to look at Wu Yan with hostility. Oni-san. Sachi whispered to Wu Yan, tell the truth and you'll be punished? What are you talking about? Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Seriously, why would you guys think that way? We're really not together. Really? Shireen was the first one to express her disbelief. She said directly, but you guys look very suspicious. What's there to be suspicious about? There's a lot to be suspicious about. Liz raised her voice and she pointed at Wu Yan with one hand on her waist. Think about it, Asuna treats you differently when she's with other people and when she's with you. Yeah, I noticed it too. Silica hugged Pina and tilted her head. Sister Asuna is very strict with the guild members, but she's very gentle with us. But she's a lot more open to you, Wu Yan and I. Her smile is also very different from usual, and the way she looks at you when she looks at you. Asuna's face turned redder with every sentence Silica said, and by the time Silica was done, Asuna's face was already red, and her lips were pouting. Wu Yan felt a headache coming on, and he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Asuna, aren't you admitting that there's something going on between you? Wu Yan knocked on Silica's head, eliciting a few yelps of pain from her. You're just a little girl, where did you get all this information from? I'm not a little girl. Silica shouted in dissatisfaction. Wu Yan rolled his eyes and said in an exasperated tone. What do you mean by what you said? Isn't that clear enough? Shireen immediately took over the conversation and jumped out. It means that Asuna likes you. Asuna almost fainted when she heard that. She closed her eyes tightly and couldn't say a word. Her body was trembling, and it was obvious that she was embarrassed to the extreme. Klein, who was kneeling on the ground with his body bent forward, came back to life on the spot. He jumped up and grabbed Wu Yan's collar while yelling, "You bastard! How dare you secretly develop a relationship with her?" Wu Yan was speechless. "I say, what does that mean? This still doesn't explain anything?" Sachi was at a loss. Now that things had come to this point, could there still be more to it? Wu Yan shook his head and sighed and said helplessly, "Doesn't that mean that Asuna likes me? How does that mean we're together?" Hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Asuna was the most popular player in SAO, the most popular female player in the game, and the dream girl of almost every male player. A girl with such qualifications likes you, and you're saying that it doesn't mean you're together? Are you going to reject her? That's what everyone in the room thought. Asuna finally couldn't hold it in anymore. She grabbed Wu Yan's waist and yelled at Wu Yan. "How can you say something like that so calmly? Then what do you want me to do?" Wu Yan felt like he didn't belong to a human anymore. "We're not together." Asuna clenched her teeth, snorted coldly and turned her head away. As Asuna's friend, Liz was the first to step forward. "You." Liz glared at Wu Yan. "A girl like Asuna likes you, why aren't you satisfied?" "I didn't say that I'm not satisfied," Wu Yan shouted. "I just said that we're not together. We've never confessed to each other and we're not together like you and Kirito. We're not a couple." Asuna's ears twitched a little, but the others were stunned and lowered their heads. Indeed, this only means that Asuna has feelings for Wu Yan, but it doesn't mean that they've never confessed to each other before. Wu Yan, who said those words, forgot that in his harem, there's not a single one of his wives that he has seriously confessed to. Liz rubbed her chin and glanced at Asuna. She made up her mind and looked at Wu Yan. If that's the case, then confess to Asuna now. Wu Yan's eyes widened, he was stunned. Asuna also trembled and looked at Liz in shock. What the hell is going on? The others, on the other hand, were stunned for a moment before they started cheering. "Confess, confess, confess." Wu Yan's jaw dropped, he didn't know what to say. Asuna, on the other hand, lowered her head and glanced at Wu Yan with her arms crossed behind her back. There was a hint of anticipation in her eyes. Wu Yan glanced at the rowdy crowd. He glanced at Asuna and he steeled his heart and he turned around. "Asuna. What are you doing?" Asuna's body trembled and her face turned red. The others also looked at Wu Yan expectantly, they were waiting to see what would happen next. Meh. Wu Yan cheered up for a bit. Then, with lightning speed, he shrunk his body. "I'm hungry." Bang 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 bang, everyone including Asuna fell to the ground in an instant. Chapter 695. Aincrad's 61st floor, Selmbrook, at the teleportation gate square, a lake-like teleportation gate rippled gently, instantly illuminating the entire teleportation gate square in the night sky. Two figures appeared there at the same time. One was dressed in black, like a knight in the night, and the other was dressed in a gorgeous white dress with red edges, like a delicate princess. With such a combination, anyone who saw these two figures would subconsciously think that they were nobles who had come out to travel. However, the expressions on their faces were one of resentment and the other of indignation. It was enough to shatter the reverie in the hearts of those who had such an impression of them. The two people who appeared in Selmbrook are Wu Yan and Asuna, who just finished the banquet and is about to go home. Asuna immediately walked towards her house when she felt the ground beneath her feet. She didn't even look at Wu Yan, she even used a lot of force when she turned around. Anyone with a discerning eye can tell she's throwing a tantrum. Wu Yan's expression turned even more angry when he saw Asuna's reaction. He sighed and followed her back to her house. Selmbrook is very quiet at night, it's so quiet it's almost as if there's no one around. Only a few faint lights can be seen from the surrounding buildings. It's not like there's no one around, but there's very few pedestrians. After all, the prices of houses on the 61st floor were extremely high. Normal players couldn't afford to buy houses on the 61st floor at all. There aren't many people who actually own a house on the 61st floor, you can count them with one hand. Even the cost of a hotel is much higher than the average in middle floors. Even if there are players on the 61st floor once night falls, they'll still have to go back to the lower floors. That's why the 61st floor is a deserted area. Of course, it's only limited to the night, there's still a lot of people who come here during the day. The surroundings are eerily quiet, it's no wonder the atmosphere is oppressive. Asuna and Wu Yan walked down the street one after another, the oppressive atmosphere made them even angrier. The two of them silently walked towards Asuna's house. It didn't take long before they finally arrived. Asuna's house finally appeared in front of them. Ever since Asuna bought this house, Wu Yan has been visiting her house a lot. After all, Asuna often visits his house as well, it's impolite not to reciprocate. However, compared to the number of times Asuna visits Wu Yan's house, Wu Yan rarely visits Asuna's house. Asuna came to Wu Yan's house to get food and ingredients, but Wu Yan didn't come to Asuna's house for the same reason. That's why the number of times he came to this place is limited. He might not even have been here 5 times. But, at the very least, he should be able to recognize the place. Seeing that he's about to reach his destination, Wu Yan felt that it's better to do what he has to do, so he quickened his pace. Unlike Wu Yan, Asuna slowed down her pace when she saw her home. It's like she's waiting for someone to catch up with her. Just like that, one of them quickened her pace while the other slowed down. The two soon met, but Wu Yan didn't stop. Instead, he walked past Asuna and arrived at her house one step ahead of her. Asuna was stunned for a moment, then a trace of anger burned in her eyes. This damn guy, he doesn't want to be with me? Asuna glanced coldly at Wu Yan, snorted, opened the door in front of her and walked in. Asuna was about to close the door and ignore Wu Yan, but Wu Yan stepped into the house and closed the door. Before Asuna could react, he pulled her into his arms, lowered his head and kissed her lips. Asuna's mind went blank at the same time. A message flashed in front of her eyes, telling her that she's being violated. Asuna put her hands on Wu Yan's chest and tried to push him away, but not only did she not push him away, Wu Yan tightened his arms around her waist, almost suffocating her. Wu Yan hugged Asuna tightly in his arms, forcing her to stand on her tiptoes. When their lips touched, a whimper came out. Wu Yan took advantage of this opportunity and used his tongue to capture Asuna's tongue. Asuna's mind went blank, her eyes started to soften. Her chestnut-colored pupils started to turn watery. The warning flashing in her eyes couldn't wake Asuna up anymore. Asuna couldn't help but indulge in the pleasure of intertwining their tongues. The only thing she could see was Wu Yan's face right in front of her. Other than that, she couldn't see anything else. Their tongues intertwined with each other, and the moist sensation entered their minds. At this moment, the two of them completely forgot that they were in a game world, that their bodies were fake, and that their actions were fake. Because, in their eyes, everything was so real. Asuna has lost all her strength, she weakly fell into Wu Yan's arms. Her head was passively swaying under Wu Yan's movements. Their lips were tightly pressed together, and their hot breaths hit each other's face. The sound of his gate echoed in the room, and the two of them were burning with passion. A pink atmosphere enveloped the room, and it didn't stop for a long time. Their tongues intertwined in an irregular manner. After a long time, when Asuna felt like she was about to suffocate to death, Wu Yan let go of her lips. Asuna's head immediately fell into Wu Yan's chest, and she gasped for air like a drowning victim. Her eyes were blurred and even Wu Yan had to gasp for air. One can imagine how intense that kiss was. Wu Yan let out a sigh of relief and he licked his sweet lips. Sure enough, it's more my style to do it directly. Asuna woke up from her daze and she raised her head. She saw Wu Yan's smiling face and the scene just now replayed in her mind. Asuna suddenly got angry. Asuna glared at Wu Yan and she yelled at him. "Let go of me." Wu Yan raised an eyebrow, but he didn't let go of Asuna. Instead, he hugged her even tighter. "It wasn't easy for me to hug you, and I won't let go so easily. You." Asuna's jaw dropped and she threatened, "Aren't you afraid that I will trigger a protection order and send you to prison?" "You can try." Wu Yan shook his head nonchalantly. "If you dare to do that, I dare to repeat what I just did in front of all the members of the Knights of Blood Oath when I come out." Asuna was stunned. She has seen shameless people before, but she has never seen someone this shameless. "If you won't confess, then why are you hugging me? Are you kidding me?" Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Asuna. "I'm not that thick-skinned to confess in front of so many people. You're not that thick-skinned?" Asuna almost choked on her own breath. "There is no one in this world with thicker skin than you." "Is that so?" Wu Yan raised the corner of his mouth. "If that's the case, then I don't mind being thicker. I will stay here tonight." "What?" Asuna screamed. What are you trying to do?" "Nothing." Wu Yan grinned. "I'm just sleeping with you for one night." Chapter 696. The next day, when a warm ray of sunlight shined on his face, he couldn't help but wake up. He shook his groggy head and let out a long yawn that sounded like a sigh. A lazy aura surrounded him, and combined with his sleepy expression, he looked like a bachelor who didn't get enough sleep. In fact, Wu Yan had a very good sleep last night, much better than when he slept at home. He wasn't a bachelor, and Asuna was curled up in his arms like a kitten. Wu Yan moved his body slightly and he felt a body on top of him. It wasn't heavy, but it had a very strong scent. Wu Yan immediately woke up and looked at Asuna, who was sleeping soundly in his arms. He remembered that he didn't go home last night and stayed at Asuna's place for the whole night. Wu Yan's arm was still wrapped around Asuna's waist. Even though it was a fake body created in the game, the smoothness of her skin felt exactly the same as the real one. Wu Yan almost thought that he had returned to the real world. Of course, Wu Yan didn't know how it feels to hug Asuna's body in the real world. But, in the past, he would hug his wives in this position whenever he woke up in the morning. Moreover, he would hug his wives in this position whenever he woke up. Therefore, no one knows better than him how a girl's smooth skin feels like. Wu Yan smelled Asuna's scent and poked her little nose out of curiosity. He shook his head and smiled. Your body in the game is already so alluring, I wonder what kind of beauty Asuna is in the real world. As if she could hear Wu Yan's words, Asuna wrinkled her little nose as if she was protesting something. Then she put on a beautiful face and slept peacefully. Wu Yan's saliva flowed out of his mouth as his heart started racing. Wu Yan stayed in this game for almost 2 years, and he didn't have a girl by his side. He only had a healing fairy. In other words, he hasn't had sex for as long as he stayed in this game. After being single for almost 2 years, anyone else would have turned into a werewolf, and Wu Yan was no exception. At this time, Wu Yan had a beautiful girl lying in his arms. How could he not howl in his heart? Wu Yan's hands started to caress Asuna's body, and his eyes started to heat up. He slowly placed his hand on Asuna's buttocks and started to caress them. Asuna seemed to feel something, and her sleeping face became a little seductive. A moan came out of her mouth, and Wu Yan's heart was instantly ignited. Just as Wu Yan was about to press down on her body, Wu Yan's heart was splashed with a bucket of cold water. Not only did it extinguish the fire in Wu Yan's heart, but it also made his heart feel cold. He can't undress Asuna. In SAO, undressing is not done by hand but by the user interface. It only takes 2 to 3 seconds to change clothes, and it's even faster to take them off. With a gentle tap, there's nothing left. Because of this, the player's clothes can't be undressed by hand, they can only be undressed through the user interface. Only by doing the undressing command can the player remove the clothes. Therefore, when a devastatingly beautiful girl was lying in his arms, he could only look at her and touch her, but he couldn't do anything to her. This was the cruel truth. Of course, Wu Yan can also grab Asuna's hand and use her hand to open the user interface, but Wu Yan doesn't want to do that. Because the user can manipulate the user interface by moving the user's finger, many people in SAO use this method to do dirty things. For example, they can manipulate a sleeping player's finger to trade all the items in the player's inventory, or steal money, etc. Some people even send a duel request to a sleeping player, and then move the player's finger to accept the duel. This way, even if the player stays in the safe zone, they'll become a fish on the chopping board. Because of this, players don't dare to sleep in a strange place in front of strangers. If a player falls asleep in front of you, then you should be glad, because it means that the player trusts you very much and believes that you won't do such a thing. There's no doubt that Asuna fell asleep in front of him because she trusts him. She even slept on the same bed as him. If he did something like moving his finger to manipulate the user interface while she's asleep, then what would Asuna think? That's another thing. He can't let Asuna down, and that's what he can't tolerate. Without Asuna's permission, Wu Yan will never manipulate her user interface. Moreover, in SAO, if you want to have sex with someone, you have to remove the restricted level settings. If you don't do that, you won't be able to do what you love, and to remove the settings, you also have to clear the user interface. Because of this, Wu Yan didn't have any bad intentions last night and spent a peaceful night with Asuna. But now, even if Wu Yan wanted to have sex with her, he can't do it. Thinking of this, Wu Yan's face became sad. He looked at the sky and sighed. It's sad that you can't do what you love. Wu Yan's sigh echoed clearly in the room, and it seemed to wake Asuna up. Asuna frowned slightly, her eyelids trembled, and she opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was Wu Yan looking at the sky and sighing. Asuna recalled everything that happened last night, and all her sleepiness was instantly swept away. You're awake. Asuna twisted her body and looked at Wu Yan. Why do you look so listless? Didn't you get enough sleep? Well, you can say that. Wu Yin hugged Asuna tightly. After all, I'm the type of person who won't wake up until the sun shines on my butt. Asuna rolled her eyes at Wu Yin. She knew Wu Yan's habit of sleeping in the morning, otherwise she wouldn't visit him at night. It's always good to wake up early. Asuna rubbed Wu Yan's chest and whispered. If the leveling area is occupied, where are we going to find it? I've always been leveling in the labyrinth area. Wu Yin shook his head and smiled. If anyone has the ability to occupy the labyrinth area, I don't mind missing a day of leveling. Yes, I know you're good, okay? I don't know how someone as lazy as you can become so strong. Did you really master the bug? Asuna said in an annoyed tone. That's good. Wu Yin pursed his lips. He looked at Asuna, who was still in his arms. What's wrong? Do you want to level up? I can carry you. I don't need you to carry me. Asuna retorted and went silent. Hey Yin. Asuna wrapped her arms around Wu Yan's neck and leaned her head on Wu Yan's chest. Why don't we rest for a while? Rest? Wu Yin froze for a second and stroked Asuna's back. What's wrong? Are you tired? Yeah. Asuna nodded slightly. I want to live a peaceful life. I want to stay at your place. It's really beautiful. I really like it. If you like it, you can stay there forever. Wu Yin pinched Asuna's nose. I'm happy that you can enjoy life. Then it's decided. Chapter 697. Sorry to keep you waiting. Asuna placed a bowl of clear soup on the table and she took off her gloves. She smiled at Wu Yin, who was sitting across from her. Hurry up and eat, you haven't tasted my cooking in a while. Wu Yin nodded. He grabbed a sandwich and stuffed it into his mouth. It's your fault for coming to eat my cooking every time you visit. Why didn't you bring me something you made? Asuna pursed her lips and lowered her head to mutter a few words. I'm not going to visit for food. What did you say? Nothing. No, what? Asuna pouted. She turned her head away as if she's out of breath. Wu Yin sighed. A woman's heart is like a needle in a haystack. Wu Yan's breakfast is usually simple. He usually eats bread, sandwiches and the like. It's simple, but Wu Yin made it himself, so it's natural that it's a delicacy. Asuna usually eats the same thing when she's at home. However, since Wu Yin is here today, Asuna added a bowl of clear soup to celebrate this special day. Asuna loves good food, but she doesn't have a huge appetite. Unlike Astria and Toka, who are pure foodies, cooking is more of a pursuit for Asuna. The simple breakfast ended in a rushed but warm atmosphere. Asuna cleaned up the dishes and went into the kitchen to wash the utensils. Wu Yin sat on the sofa and started reading the latest newspaper. It had only been a day since we cleared the 74th floor, but there was a surprisingly large amount of information today. Most of it was about the 75th floor, such as the levels and strength of the monsters in the wild, the general situation of the town, and even the location of the quest NPCs. Of course, these were the insignificant ones. The truly precious quest information wouldn't be casually published in the newspaper, because it represented a huge sum of money. Even though the 74th floor was cleared yesterday, some players are still very efficient. After a day, most of the top players have set their sights on the 75th floor. They rushed into the wilderness or the town. Every time there's a discovery, the information broker will report it to the public. That's why the next day's newspaper will be the most informative and eye-catching news. But for Wu Yin, this information isn't important. He rarely accepted any quests in the past 2 years. The number of quests he accepted so far is less than 10. He always went straight to the labyrinth area. Normal quests aren't enough to satisfy him, and rare quests are too troublesome for him to find. So he decided to level up instead. It might be a little boring, but it's a lot more useful. However, the information about the clearers' movements piqued Wu Yan's interest. After all, the clearers are at the forefront of the game. Their movements are bound to attract the attention of many, including Wu Yan himself. It didn't take long for Asuna to finish cleaning up. She came out of the kitchen and sat down beside Wu Yan. She poked her head out of curiosity. What are you looking at? Nothing. I'm just looking at the clearers' movements, Wu Yan said casually. He didn't even take his eyes off the paper. Since yesterday, the Moonlit Black Cats, Fearing Kazan, Holy Dragon Alliance, and your Knights of the Blood Oath have begun to explore the wild on the 75th floor. However, the progress seems to have slowed down a lot. Of course? Asuna sighed and said in a low voice, there will be a very powerful boss appearing on every 25th floor, causing a lot of casualties to the clearers. The boss on the 25th floor forced the army to retreat from the front line, and the boss on the 50th floor also caused the front line to collapse. If it wasn't for our leader who blocked the boss for 10 minutes, I'm afraid the clearers would have been annihilated. And now there's another boss on the 25th floor. If we don't pay attention to it, who knows how many people will die this time. Wu Yan curled his lips and threw the paper in his hand away. If I knew this would happen, I would have gone and fought the boss on the 25th and 50th floors. Asuna agreed with Wu Yan's explanation. With Wu Yan's strength, if he had participated in the boss fight, the outcome would have been different, wouldn't it? Unfortunately, the clearers found the boss rooms on these 2 floors first. However, if Wu Yan found the boss rooms first, would he be able to take on the 2 ridiculously powerful bosses by himself? Asuna started to worry and she hugged Wu Yan's arm. Yan, can you promise me? Asuna stared at Wu Yan's face with a serious expression. This time, you and the clearers will fight the boss on the 75th floor together. Wu Yan was stunned for a moment, but when he saw the serious expression on Asuna's face, he immediately understood what she was thinking and smiled. I say, don't you think you're underestimating your husband? Wu Yan scratched Asuna's chin, causing her to wrinkle her nose. Even the 74th floor's gatekeeper boss is no match for me. Even if a 75th floor's gatekeeper boss is several times stronger than the 74th floor's gatekeeper boss, I still have the confidence to deal with it. Not to mention I still have dual blade stream. Asuna's expression relaxed a little, although she wasn't completely relaxed, she wasn't as worried as before. She puffed up her cheeks in dissatisfaction and turned her head away. Who are you calling my husband? We're not married. Isn't it easy if you want to get married? Wu Yan joked with her. It's just a matter of applying. Marriage in SAO is very simple. All you need to do is to buy a pair of wedding rings and exchange them. Then you're officially a legal couple in SAO. Don't think that the marriage system in the game is so simple. Once you become a legal couple in SAO, you can use the items in the other party's item bar at will. If one of you dies, all the items in his or her item bar will be transferred to the other party's item bar. Therefore, although the marriage procedure was very simple, the meaning was extraordinary. If one did not truly trust and love the other party, it was generally impossible to get married. Otherwise, if one was careless and made a mistake, one's other half would immediately plot to kill him after marrying him to obtain all the items in his item bar. By then it would be too late for regrets. This kind of thing has happened a lot in SAO. Wu Yan and Asuna have known each other for more than 2 years. They know each other better than anyone else. Plus, Wu Yan brought up the topic of marriage. Even Asuna couldn't help but feel weird when Wu Yan brought it up. Are you really willing to marry me? Asuna's eyes flickered as she looked straight at Wu Yan. With Wu Yan's wealth, she believed that anyone would be greedy or even have evil intentions towards him. If Wu Yan is willing to marry her, it means that he has absolute trust in her. At the thought of this, Asuna's heart was filled with an indescribable emotion that couldn't be stopped for a long time. Don't doubt me. Wu Yan reached out and hugged Asuna. You're the most charming person in SAO. Millions of people want to marry you. No one can say no to you, including me. Wu Yan's lips curled into a grin. But if we get married, we can't do it as casually as the marriage system in this world. We have to hold a grand wedding ceremony and invite Kirito, Liz, Sachi, and the others to attend. Then we have to do it in front of all the players. We can exchange rings. Asuna covered her mouth as she trembled. She couldn't hold back her tears any longer and she threw herself into Wu Yan's embrace. Chapter 698. Yesterday, during the celebration, Wu Yan was almost forced to confess to Asuna, but because of his rare moment of shyness, the drama turned into a farce and the matter was left unsettled. But today Wu Yan and Asuna decided to get married, and they even held a wedding ceremony. This is an unprecedented development, and if other people knew about it they would probably laugh out loud. Since they had decided to hold a wedding ceremony, they naturally had to invite their friends and family such as Kirito, Liz, Sachi, Shili, Cheyenne, Suda, Klein, and the others. These people were the few friends they had in this world, so how could they not invite them? Of course it won't be now. Let's not talk about how much of a commotion Asuna would cause if the news of her wedding got out. Also, what kind of attitude would the Knights of the Blood Oath have towards one of their elite generals? Wu Yan can't just ignore the fact that she's going to marry someone of her status. Isn't that right? Yesterday he didn't confess to Asuna in front of everyone. Now he's inviting other people to attend their wedding ceremony. Wu Yan is sure that Kirito and the others are laughing their heads off. They're laughing so hard that Wu Yan wants to dig a hole and hide in it. Not to mention this is still in the planning stage, it's better to delay sending out wedding invitations. Asuna, who was touched a second ago, started to despise Wu Yan and teased him about it. Wu Yan gritted his teeth. If it wasn't for the conditions, he would have grabbed Asuna and spanked her 100 times, 100 times. The two cuddled in the room for a while, then they changed their clothes and prepared to go to the Knights of the Blood's HQ. Whether it's because Asuna wants to leave the Knights of the Blood or not. Even if she wants to marry him, she still has to go through the Knights of the Blood. After all, Asuna isn't only the vice leader of the Knights of the Blood, she's also the person in charge of the clearers. Whether it was the guild's strength or the progress of the raid, it would be a huge loss. Therefore, there was no way they would let Asuna go so easily. Therefore, Wu Yan decided to follow Asuna to the headquarters of the Knights of the Blood. Is there really no problem? Asuna, who had changed into her usual night battle dress, touched the rapier on her waist and looked at Wu Yan, who was dressed in black with a worried expression. Although Knights of the Blood is the strongest guild in SAO, they only have a few hundred members. There were only a few dozen players who were qualified to join the clearers, and their combat power was only at the right level, unlike the Divine Dragon Alliance and the army, who had a large number of peripheral members to supplement their strength. And as one of the best among them, Asuna's importance was obvious, not to mention her combat strength. Whether it was in terms of strategy or not, Asuna was worthy of being called an elite. No one would easily let go of such an excellent existence. Not to mention that Asuna was also the vice leader of the Knights of the Blood, a member of the upper echelon. Therefore, Asuna wasn't sure if the guild would let her go or not. If she wasn't determined to follow Wu Yan, she wouldn't have mentioned leaving. This could be seen from the fact that Asuna didn't want to leave the Knights of the Blood even though she didn't have enough fun in the past. Because of this, Wu Yan felt the need to go to the Knights of the Blood's HQ with Asuna. Don't worry. Wu Yan stroked Asuna's hair and smiled. I'll take care of everything. Asuna turned around and looked at Wu Yan's smiling face. His expression was firm as he nodded his head firmly. The two walked to the door and they opened it. The next moment, a figure appeared in front of them. The two were surprised when they saw the face of the figure. Asuna's expression turned ugly. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes as a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Kuradil. Asuna's expression turned gloomy. Why are you in front of my house? Kuradil. Asuna-sama. Kuradil, who had his back facing the door, was overjoyed when he heard Asuna's voice. When he turned around and saw Wu Yan, his bulging eyes shrunk and his expression turned sour. Why is this bastard in Asuna-sama's house? Kuradil. Asuna's voice was cold. This isn't the first time you've blocked my door, right? Kuradil retracted his gaze from Wu Yan and looked at Asuna. Asuna-sama, I am your bodyguard, it is my duty to ensure your safety. Of course, that includes keeping an eye on the thieves around you. That means... Asuna lowered her head and hid her face behind her bangs. She clenched her fists tightly. You've been keeping an eye on me? Please forgive me for not reporting this to you. Kuradil glanced at Wu Yan. I'm doing this for Asuna-sama's sake. There are many people in this world who use dirty tricks to deceive others. If Asuna-sama is deceived by these people, then... Enough. Asuna raised her head and glared at Kuradil with a murderous glint in her eyes. Of course, she knew who Kuradil was referring to by the filthy rascal he was referring to. If it was before, no matter how close Asuna was to Wu Yan, she wouldn't side with him. But now, Wu Yan is going to be her husband. Which woman could tolerate her husband being called a dirty rascal by others? Asuna didn't know about others, but she couldn't tolerate it. Kuradil. Asuna took a deep breath. Let me ask you, did the leader order you to keep an eye on me? Kuradil was shocked by Asuna's sudden outburst. He shook his head subconsciously, causing Asuna's glare to turn even colder. Then, in the name of the vice leader, from today onwards, you are relieved of your duty as a bodyguard. Asuna glanced at Kuradil and said firmly, return to the headquarters and wait for further orders. What? Kuradil looked at Asuna in disbelief. Asuna-sama. Bang? Before Kuradil could finish his sentence, a fist suddenly enlarged in front of his eyes and smashed into his face. Kuradil felt a wave of dizziness in his head before he was sent flying and crashed into the street below. Kuradil was stunned by the sudden turn of events. He laid on the ground in a daze. He didn't regain his senses until Wu Yan appeared in front of him. Only then did he realize who the one who attacked him was. Kuradil's face turned ferocious as he looked at Wu Yan. He wanted to stand up, but Wu Yan raised his foot and stomped on his chest. Kuradil's face turned red and he couldn't stand up anymore. Don't worry, no matter how strong your attack is, you won't lose any HP. Wu Yan pursed his lips. He looked down at Kuradil and stomped down. How dare you hit me? Kuradil's face was red and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. Yes, I did hit you. Wu Yan lowered his head and grinned. His smile was very cold. Because I don't like you. You. Listen to me. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes. If I see you pestering Asuna again, even Heathcliff won't be able to save you. Chapter 699. I believe that the Knights of the Blood won't go so far as to provoke me over a mere guard. The cold voice echoed clearly in Kuradil's ears. His disdainful words caused the flames of anger in his heart to swell, followed by a shocking murderous intent. As a member of the Knights of the Blood, Kuradil usually acted like a tyrant. Just his other identity as a member of the Assassin Guild, Smiling Coffin, was enough to intimidate countless players. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? In Kuradil's mind, he had always been the one to trample on others. He never thought that today he would be trampled under someone else's foot. Moreover, this person was the person he hated the most, and wanted to kill the most. Hatred. His hands unconsciously grabbed Wu Yan's foot that was on his chest. Kuradil wanted to say something, but as soon as he opened his mouth, an uncomfortable feeling of suffocation surged from his chest, causing his voice to turn into a muffled groan. He couldn't utter a single word. Within the safe zone, other than a duel, no matter what kind of attack was used, HP would not be deducted. Because of this, players would feel more pain inside the safe zone than outside. Wu Yan's foot continued to press down on Kuradil's chest. Although it didn't cause him much pain, Kuradil felt suffocated in his chest. He couldn't make a single sound. It was so uncomfortable that he wanted to die. Kuradil used his eyes to stare at Wu Yan's face. It's as if he's trying to carve Wu Yan's face into his mind. If looks could kill, Kuradil wouldn't mind cutting Wu Yan into 1,000 pieces. Wu Yan ignored Kuradil's hatred. This clown had repeatedly challenged his bottom line. In the past, when Kuradil didn't openly pick a fight with him, he didn't mind sparing him a glance. But now, since Kuradil was bothering Asuna, he wouldn't be Wu Yan if he didn't teach him a lesson. He leaned forward and stood above Kuradil. His wine-red pupils stared straight into Kuradil's murderous eyes. Wu Yan smirked. I know you can't wait to kill me now. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. SAO was a level-based game. The gap between low-level and high-level players will only grow bigger and bigger. You're just a low-level member of the Knights of the Blood Oath. I'm sure your training area won't be high-level, so you better pray that the gap between our levels won't be too big. Otherwise, you'll never have the chance to take revenge in your entire life. Even if I stand in front of you like a good boy. Wu Yan straightened his back and he looked at Kuradil from the corner of his eyes. Step aside. Chop. Kuradil's pupils shrank. Upon seeing this, Wu Yan calmly turned around, removed his foot from Kuradil's body, and walked to Asuna's side. Let's go. Asuna nodded obediently. She didn't even look at Kuradil as she followed Wu Yan to the teleport gate square. Kuradil stood up and stared at Wu Yan's back. He knew that even if he charged forward, he would only be humiliated again. He might be a top player, but compared to top players like Kirito and Asuna, he was nothing. He couldn't compare to the strongest player in the game, Wu Yan. He could only stand there and resist the urge to rush up to Wu Yan. Looking at Wu Yan's receding figure, he gnashed his teeth so hard that they made cracking noises. His heart was filled with hatred. One day. Kuradil roared in his mind, but Wu Yan's words echoed in his mind. Just as Wu Yan said, his leveling speed is incomparable to Wu Yan, who is always at the forefront of the game. The gap between them is already too big. If this continues, when Wu Yan reaches a level that he can't reach, even if he uses some tricks to make Wu Yan unable to resist, he still wouldn't be able to kill Wu Yan. If Wu Yan doesn't die once he regains his mobility, then, the more Kuradil thought about it, the darker his expression became. His eyes began to flicker. Looks like I need to hurry. Kuradil had already forgotten Wu Yan's words. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. On the other side, Asuna, who was walking beside Wu Yan, couldn't help but look back. She puffed up her cheeks and looked at Wu Yan. Why did you suddenly make a move? Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Asuna. Are you going to let him stalk my fiancé's house? I'm not that magnanimous. I'm not asking you to tolerate him. Asuna pouted. He's still my subordinate and a member of the Knights of the Blood. If you attack him, I'm afraid it'll cause trouble. Even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up for you. What's a little trouble? Wu Yin glanced behind him. I'm just worried that he won't feel that trouble is enough for his revenge. Asuna paused and looked at Wu Yin in confusion. Seeing that he wasn't going to explain, she didn't ask any further. Asuna was actually quite happy that Wu Yin was protecting her. That's why she didn't stop him when Wu Yin attacked Kuradil. Asuna hated Kuradil to the core. If she could get the Knights of the Blood to hunt her down, that would be the best case scenario. Aincrad's 55th floor, Granzam, Knights of the Blood's headquarters. I've got the gist of the situation. Heathcliff sat on his seat. He crossed his fingers and propped his chin up with the back of his hand. He looked at Wu Yin and Asuna, or more accurately Wu Yin. He spoke with an expressionless face. Yankuan, I'm not trying to make things difficult for you. You know how important Asuna is to the Knights of the Blood. Heathcliff paused for a moment before continuing to speak to Wu Yin. Without Asuna, our progress will be greatly reduced. Plus, she's our vice leader. Do you think I'll let her go? Leader! Asuna wanted to step forward and say something to Heathcliff, but Wu Yin pulled her behind him. Asuna looked at Wu Yin and thought for a moment before retreating behind him. Since Wu Yin said to leave everything to him, then she'll leave everything to him. Wu Yin smiled at Asuna and turned to Heathcliff. I know Asuna's departure will slow down our progress, but that doesn't mean we're not making any progress, right? The slower the progress, the further we'll be away from this world. Heathcliff raised his head slightly. You should know what this means, right? Is he trying to use the big picture to pressure me? Wu Yin looked at Heathcliff thoughtfully. A strange smile appeared on his face. I've heard that Commander Heathcliff has never led a raid team in person except for some boss battles. If Commander Heathcliff personally leads a raid team, I believe the raid team's progress won't be any worse than Asuna's, right? Heathcliff frowned when he heard Wu Yan's words. Then he relaxed his frown. If I can do something for everyone, of course I won't be stingy. Wu Yan didn't show any expression on his face, but he was secretly cursing Heathcliff. You're the one who locked her up here and you still want to do something for everyone? No matter how much effort you put in, it's useless. Heathcliff didn't know what Wu Yan was thinking. He looked at Asuna and said, but even so, I can't let Asuna leave so easily. After all, she's too important. Oh? Wu Yan looked at Heathcliff. No matter what? Heathcliff grinned as he met Wu Yan's gaze without fear. No matter what. Chapter 700. As soon as Heathcliff's words came out, the atmosphere in the room became tense. Wu Yin and Heathcliff stared at each other. Neither of them said a word as they stared at each other. The atmosphere around them became more and more tense. It felt like a volcano is about to erupt. Asuna started getting anxious. Now, the two people standing in front of him, not to mention their relationship with him, just based on their identities, they were existences in this world that could be dug up by intelligence agencies with just a stomp of their feet. One is the strongest player in the game, the other is the leader of the strongest guild in the game. If the relationship between the two of them deteriorates because of what happened today or even become enemies, it will undoubtedly be a huge blow to Sao. Even if it was someone else standing here, that person would be scared out of their wits. Asuna, on the other hand, was her boss and her soon-to-be husband in this world. She didn't want to see the two of them fighting each other, no matter if it's for work or for personal reasons. Just when Asuna was about to step forward, Wu Yin suddenly said something. Captain Heathcliff, I'm sure you still remember the promise you made during our last duel, right? Hearing this, Heathcliff's eyes narrowed and his face sank a little. He already knew what the other party wanted to say, but he still answered truthfully, of course I do. I promised you that if you lost that duel you would join my Knights of the Blood Oath, and if I lost you would join me. Until Sao is completely conquered, the Knights of the Blood will use all their power to help you fulfill one of your conditions. Wu Yin smiled when he heard Heathcliff's words. Commander Heathcliff, now is the time for you to fulfill your promise. After saying that, Wu Yin looked at Heathcliff, who had a serious expression on his face. I hope you can let Asuna leave the Knights of the Blood. Heathcliff's eyes flickered, and his expression kept changing. Asuna, on the other hand, had a surprised smile on her face. It was obvious that she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. She had forgotten about it. Forget about Asuna, even Wu Yin himself forgot about this matter. It's been a year, plus he didn't really care much about this matter, it's only natural for him to forget about it. From Wu Yan's point of view, what the Knights of the Blood Oath can do for him is just a drop in the ocean. He doesn't know how the Knights of the Blood can do something that he can't do. Maybe Heathcliff can, but he won't expose himself just because of a promise. With this preconceived notion, Wu Yen gradually forgot about this matter. If he wasn't pushed too hard just now, he wouldn't have suddenly remembered it. This is something Heathcliff didn't expect. He never thought that Wu Yen would agree to his terms. To think that he would actually use the conditions that he had promised him at this time? Now he was once again riding a tiger and unable to back down. It's ironic. As the administrator of SAO, Heathcliff has the power of a god in this world. Yet he fell into Wu Yan's hands twice. It's ironic. Heathcliff's expression became a little uncertain, as if he was struggling to make a decision. After a long time he sighed faintly. "I'm sorry, Yen Kuan," Heathcliff said helplessly. "Your condition is a bit too much for me. Even though I've promised you before, I can't just let Asuna go like this. Without her, Knights of the Blood will suffer a great loss. Please change your condition." Asuna was stunned. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. Her commander didn't keep his promise. Wu Yen narrowed his eyes and his voice became deeper. "So, Commander Heathcliff, you're not going to fulfill your promise?" Heathcliff stood up and he looked at Wu Yen with a solemn expression. "Yen Kuan, please change your terms." Wu Yen went silent. He felt helpless. He didn't expect Heathcliff to be so shameless for Asuna's sake. Didn't he see everything in this world as a game? He can't let Asuna go because she would cause a great loss to the Knights of the Blood and affect their progress? Wu Yen might have believed it if someone else told him that. But coming from Heathcliff himself, it's ridiculous. After all, both the Clearers and the Knights of the Blood were nothing but toys in Heathcliff's eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to observe the Clearers closely, he would have tossed them away whenever he wanted to. Who are you trying to fool? Wu Yen had no choice but to ponder for a while. If that's the case, let's change our terms. Wu Yen took a step forward and said in an unexpectedly strong tone, "Let Asuna go and I promise you that once the Clearers or the Knights of the Blood have found the floor boss room, I'll help you defeat the floor boss." As soon as these words came out, let alone Heathcliff, even Asuna couldn't help but be stunned. "You mean?" Heathcliff's eyes flashed with a glint. "You're willing to join the Clearers?" "Only when you need to defeat the floor boss." Wu Yen glanced at Heathcliff. "Usually, I won't interfere with any of your Clearers." This time Heathcliff was moved. The reason why he insisted on keeping Asuna was because he wanted to observe Wu Yen through Asuna. In this world, who doesn't know that the Fey swordsman Wu Yen is a famous loner? He doesn't interact with anyone except for a few members of the Moonlit Black Cats. Those who have a good relationship with him can be counted on one hand. And among them, Asuna was the only one who had a close relationship with Wu Yen. Because of this, Heathcliff wanted to use Asuna to observe Wu Yen, who is out of his control. Now that Wu Yen is willing to reveal himself to Heathcliff, it's better for him to observe Wu Yen personally rather than using Asuna as a medium. At that moment Heathcliff had a plan. "Okay, I promise you." Asuna was so happy that she almost cheered. Wu Yen smiled helplessly. This time he had spent a lot of money. After leaving the Knights of the Blood's HQ, Asuna was like a little bird that had just escaped from its cage. She was walking happily in front of the group, skipping a few steps as she walked. Asuna turned around and chuckled. "I didn't expect you to be willing to work with the Clearers. Is this still the stubborn Yen I know?" Wu Yen shook his head in annoyance. "Who am I doing this for? Also, didn't you just ask me to work with the Clearers to defeat the floor boss?" Asuna was startled for a moment, but then her eyes lit up. "Is that why you're willing to join the Clearers in clearing the floor boss?" Wu Yen pursed his lips and turned his head away. "Don't get me wrong. I just want to live a peaceful life with you. Besides, I can even steal the boss and take the reward for killing the boss. Heathcliff will be pissed to death." Asuna giggled when Wu Yen turned his head away. She ran over to Wu Yen and hugged his arm. She buried her head in his arms. "Ah, Yen is shy. Who's shy?" Wu Yen felt awkward as he tried his best to retort. "You're shy." "I'm not." "Yen is surprisingly cute when you're shy." "I told you I'm not shy." Chapter 701. Today, in the past few days almost all the players in Aincrad went crazy because of a piece of news. Fey swordsman Wu Yen and Asuna the Flash will be getting married tomorrow. That's right. Wu Yen and Asuna are getting married. When the news came out, all the players in Aincrad, no matter which floor they were on, only had one reaction, and that was to scoff at the news. Who is Fey Swordsman Wu Yan? The strongest player in SAO. Who is Asuna the Flash? She's the idol of countless young boys and girls. If the two of them get married, it's not surprising that they would have a wedding ceremony that has never been seen before in SAO. But who would believe it? There's a lot of gossip in SAO. Wherever there are people, there will be rumors. For the average player, Fey Swordsman and Flash are high and mighty figures, and they're unreachable idols. Naturally, no one would believe such a piece of news. Whether it's subconsciously not believing it or the fact that their idols are about to fall into someone else's arms, it's a good thing. When the news first came out, it became a joke. Hence, he was treated as a joke by the average player, a joke on a daily basis. However, 2 or 3 days later, the players started to feel that something was wrong. It was also because of a piece of news. The leader of Knights of the Blood, Heathcliff, officially announced that the vice leader Asuna the Flash will be getting married soon. She will no longer participate in the floor raid, and she will be allowed to step down. In other words, from now on, Asuna will no longer be the vice leader of Knights of the Blood, and she will be leaving the organization. When the news came out, all the players couldn't believe it, and the members of Knights of the Blood almost caused a ruckus. As someone who had both strength and charm, Asuna's popularity wasn't small, not to mention the average players. The members of the Knights of the Blood Oath usually admired their vice leader, but now the person they admired was not only about to leave the Knights of the Blood Oath, but also about to get married. How could these people not fall out with him? However, no matter how much trouble they caused, it was fine. Asuna's departure from the Knights of the Blood was finally confirmed. This kind of news wasn't like those rumors. Whether it was true or not, it was easy to find out by looking at the Knights of the Blood's movements. After the news of her departure was confirmed, the players had no choice but to believe it. Flash, Asuna is getting married. And it was against the strongest player, the Fey Swordsman Wu Yan. Ever since that day, everyone went crazy. Some envied Wu Yan for having such a beautiful woman. Some envied Wu Yan for being able to keep the heartthrob in his arms. Some hated Wu Yan for stealing their idol away from them. Some hated Asuna for leaving the Knights of the Blood Oath and not participating in the raid. She's the reason why they can't leave this world of death as soon as possible. All in all, there were all kinds of emotions and all kinds of reactions were vividly displayed at this time. The whole of Aincrad went into an uproar after hearing that. Meanwhile, Wu Yan is also having a headache over what to do with this mess. Is that all? Wu Yan looked at the pictures on the newspaper. He looked at Agile with a troubled expression. Are there no formal suits or wedding dresses like those in the real world? Yes. Yes, Wu Yan was looking for a wedding dress, but it seems like he didn't have enough. It can't be helped, SAO is very different from the real world. The tall and muscular Agile frowned and said helplessly. Some of the casual clothes are similar to the ones in the real world, but the outfits have to be made according to the style of this world. Not to mention there has never been a wedding ceremony in SAO, and no one has ever made formal dresses before. I don't know how many tailors I've bought from. I think it's not bad, it's very beautiful. Asuna picked up the paper and looked at the pictures. Her chestnut-colored eyes were filled with love. It's different from the ones in the real world, but it feels like a classical wedding. Asuna tilted her head and looked at Wu Yan. She pointed at one of the dresses and said excitedly, Yan, let's choose this one. Wu Yan, Kirito, Liz, Sachi, Cheyenne, Silica, Agile, and the others poked their heads out of the paper and they looked at the dress Asuna pointed out. It's a very retro-style dress. The men's dress is a typical knight's dress, but it's pure white. The women's dress is a princess's dress that goes all the way to the ankles. It's similar to a Western noble's dress, but because it's pure white, it's perfect for a wedding ceremony in SAO. Wow, it's so beautiful. Silica clenched her fists and looked at the dress with stars in her eyes. I want to try it on. Hearing this, many people laughed out loud. Liz giggled and said, We'll talk about it when you grow up. Silica wasn't happy with that answer. I'm not young anymore. But it's really pretty? Sachi looked at Asuna with longing eyes and said, Asuna's taste is really good, Asuna giggled. She looked at Wu Yan with a hopeful look in her eyes. It looks like Asuna really likes this dress. Since Asuna made the decision, Wu Yan had no reason to object. Okay, we'll take it then. Wu Yan handed the paper to Agile. Then I'll have to trouble you, Agile? Yes, yes, yes. Agile took the paper and rubbed his smooth head. I'll have the tailor make it before tonight. Thank you very much, Mr. Agile. Asuna thanked Agile gratefully. Even though the two of them decided to hold a wedding ceremony, the three of them are the ones who will carry it out. Agile, Klein, and Suda are the ones who will carry it out. Agile was a famous merchant, so he would be of great help in arranging the wedding ceremony. Klein and Suda were leaders of large guilds, so there were many miscellaneous matters that required their help. If it weren't for the three of them, the wedding ceremony wouldn't have been able to be held. That's why Wu Yan and Asuna were very grateful to Agile. Of course, Klein and Suda, who weren't present at the wedding, were also there to help them. Agile waved his hand and looked at Wu Yan with a smile. No need to thank me, Wu Yan gave me a lot of commission. I'm happy with the money I earned. Everyone was stunned for a moment before they smiled bitterly. Kirito looked at Agile. You're still doing this kind of shady business as usual? Don't misunderstand me. Agile punched Kirito's chest. Wu Yan gave it to me, I didn't ask him for it. Ma, money is a small matter? Wu Yan took a sip of his herbal tea and looked at the crowd. I just don't know if we can get it done before tomorrow. I don't want anything to go wrong. You still have the nerve to say that? Shireen, who had been staring at those dresses, turned her head on the spot and teased. I don't know who was the one who didn't even dare to confess before, but now he's playing with a flash marriage. Cheyenne's words reminded everyone of the farce in the hotel a week ago and Wu Yan's classic speech. They all laughed. Wu Yan laughed as well, but it was a dry laugh. Chapter 702. With the help of Kirito, Liz, Sachi, Cheyenne, Silica, Agile, Klein, Suda, and the others, the wedding ceremony tomorrow was almost done. By the time they were done, the sky had already turned dark. Well then, I will be counting on you guys for tomorrow as well. Wu Yan and Asuna stood up and they smiled back at him. Everyone smiled back at them. Leave it to us. Cheyenne patted her chest and yelled. We'll make sure to give you guys a wedding you'll never forget. Sachi pursed her lips and muttered in a low voice, You didn't help at all, you only came here for fun. The wedding ceremony? Silica held her cheeks and stammered. I'm looking forward to it. Liz, on the other hand, looked at Wu Yan and Asuna and rolled her eyes. She walked to Asuna's side and pulled her to her side. She teased Wu Yan. Since the wedding is tomorrow, you guys can't stay together tonight. I'm going to Asuna's house to accompany her tonight. Wu Yan and Asuna were stunned. Sachi, Cheyenne, and Silica also came to their senses. They quickly came to Asuna's side and they shielded her like she's a little chick. That's right, Oniai-chan. You guys are getting married tomorrow. We can't stay together tonight. Sachi giggled at Wu Yan. There was a mischievous tone in her voice. Sachi, who is usually gentle and elegant, looked even cuter than usual. She looked so cute that people almost couldn't recognize her. Leave Asuna to us tonight, Cheyenne said in an indisputable tone. She put her hands on her waist. I'll give you a beautiful bride tomorrow. How is this possible? Wu Yan is flabbergasted. Other people don't have such rules when they get married. How can you compare yourself to others? Liz raised her chin and smiled proudly. Other players just need to apply and exchange wedding rings to get married. That kind of wedding doesn't have so many rules, but you guys are going to have a wedding ceremony. Everything has to be done according to the normal rules. Wu Yan choked. He was speechless. Indeed. On the night before the wedding, the man and woman are not allowed to see each other. Even Asuna seemed to be a little moved. She had always valued weddings and she was very happy and satisfied to be able to get married in this world according to the rules of the real world. Naturally, she didn't want to break this rule. She didn't want to help Wu Yan. She gave Wu Yan a helpless look and pulled Liz's hand. I'm sorry, Yan, let Liz and the others accompany me tonight. This time. Wu Yan is really Wu Yan, fine fine. He rolled his eyes at the culprit and waved his hand dismissively. It's just one night, I won't go crazy just because I can't see anyone. Although he said this, his tone was full of jealousy and sullenness, causing the girls to laugh. Then Kirito. Liz patted Kirito's shoulder and said, I'll leave the groom to you guys. You can accompany him tonight if you want. No way. Wu Yan, Kirito, and Agile complained at the same time. Girls staying under the same roof is considered intimate. Boys staying together. That's disgusting. Well, we'll go to your house tomorrow? Kirito raised his eyebrows at Wu Yan. Before that, you'd better go home alone. Ahaha. Wu Yan laughed awkwardly. I'll remember you guys. Liz, Sachi, Cheyenne, and Silica pulled Asuna and ran towards the teleport gate. Don't be late tomorrow. Wu Yan, Kirito, and Agile didn't know whether to laugh or cry when they saw the girls running away in a hurry. See you tomorrow then? Kirito waved his hand. He also walked towards the teleport gate. Of course he's going back to his house. Oh, right. Just as Wu Yan was about to leave, Agile suddenly took out a package and handed it to Wu Yan. "This appeared in the shop today. It says it's for you." Wu Yan paused for a bit before he took it in surprise. He looked at the package. "Whose is this?" I don't know. Agile crossed his arms. "I only found out later. Maybe it's a congratulatory gift from someone?" Wu Yan frowned. He looked at the package that didn't have any information other than his name. He started to think. Aincrad, 22nd floor. On his way home, Wu Yan tapped on the package a few times. The package instantly disintegrated and a strange flower appeared in Wu Yan's hand. A flower? Wu Yan scratched his head in confusion. Is this really a congratulatory gift from someone? Just as he finished his sentence, an intoxicating floral fragrance wafted into his nose and he inhaled it. When he smelled it, his expression changed. An abnormal status symbol appeared next to his HP bar. That symbol told Wu Yan that he was poisoned. Fuck. His body stiffened and he quickly threw away the flower in his hand. At the same time, the numbness took over his entire body and he couldn't move at all as he slumped to the ground. Numbing, poison. Wu Yan's face turned green. Ah. A maniacal laugh came from beside Wu Yan. Wu Yan's expression changed again. He raised his head with great difficulty and he saw a black silhouette in his line of sight. Wu Yan's pupils contracted when he saw this person. Kuradil. Kuradil's figure slowly walked out of the darkness, accompanied by an unpleasant laughter. He held a sword in his hand and his face was incomparably ferocious. Traces of madness filled his eyes, causing him to laugh maniacally. Ha! Kuradil's laughter was filled with killing intent. Finally, you've fallen by my hands. Elven swordsman. Kuradil trembled with excitement. He walked up to Wu Yan with his sword in hand. He looked at the gloomy Wu Yan on the ground and grinned. You didn't expect this, did you? I'm just a lowly guard. There will be a time when I can look down on you, the strongest player. Haha. Wu Yan's forehead dripped with cold sweat. He forced a smile. I didn't expect you to have this kind of item. Numbing pollen? Ah, that's right. Kuradil smiled wickedly. At this moment, his expression was incomparably ugly. That's a rare item that I got when I joined this smiling coffin. I spent a lot of effort to get it from those damn bastards. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have used it. I wanted to poison your water with paralyzing poison, but the chances were too rare. I couldn't wait any longer. You should feel honored. Is that so? Wu Yan lowered his head. His eyes flashed with killing intent. Yes, I should be honored. Honored that you've finally appeared? Oh? Our elven swordsman doesn't seem to realize what's going on. Kuradil's expression darkened. He raised his sword and slashed down on Wu Yan, taking away a small chunk of Wu Yan's HP. Kuradil's name turned orange. Wu Yan's eyes flew open. Kuradil, who was about to slash again, froze on the spot. He lowered his head in disbelief and looked at his chest. There, a black greatsword had pierced through his back. This. Kuradil struggled to raise his head. Wu Yan stood up with a sword in his hand. His wine-red eyes were cold as ice. Chapter 703. In the original work, Kuradil poisoned Kirito's drink with a paralyzing poison and passed it on to him. Kirito would have lost all ability to fight back if Asuna didn't arrive in time. Otherwise, Kirito would have fallen to Kuradil's hands. But things are different now. Kuradil took advantage of Kirito because they were both members of the Knights of the Blood in the original work. In this world, Wu Yan and Kuradil have never had a close relationship. In fact, their relationship is pretty bad. There's no way Wu Yan would have had the chance to drink Kuradil's drink. Therefore, Kuradil had no choice but to use the precious paralysis pollen along with the paralysis skill he had learned from the Assassin Guild, Smiling Coffin. It was impossible to guard against such a sneak attack, and even Kuradil didn't think he would fail. However, the reality was undoubtedly cruel. Kuradil looked at the heaven gazer that pierced through his chest. He looked at his dwindling HP bar and then at Wu Yan, who was standing in front of him with a trembling face. You want to know why I'm fine? Wu Yan pursed his lips. He tightened his grip on the hilt and the sword sank deeper into Kuradil's body. Kuradil screamed as his body was pushed back uncontrollably. Wu Yan, on the other hand, kept moving forward. Little by little, he pushed Kuradil back as he howled in pain. It was a cruel sight. Unfortunately, I'm a person who dislikes having my body restricted in some way. Wu Yan slowly approached Kuradil. The heaven gazer pierced through Kuradil's body. He slowly pushed the howling Kuradil away. I've spent a lot of effort to overcome the paralysis, the only thing that can completely restrict a character's movement in SAO. Not only did I learn the paralysis skill, but I also learned how to detoxify it. Of course, I also improved my poison resistance. Unfortunately, you just happened to bump into me. The Beast King incident changed Wu Yan. After all, at that time Wu Yan was the one who changed his mind. He was unable to move under the Beast King's gravity and had lost all ability to resist. If it wasn't for the system's decision to summon Yukari in advance, Wu Yan would have to watch the girls he loved being killed one by one right in front of his eyes. Ever since then, Wu Yan hated his body being restricted by an inexplicable state. That feeling of powerlessness made Wu Yan quite disgusted. After coming to this world, Wu Yan put in a lot of effort to overcome this paralysis state. Intentionally or unintentionally, Wu Yan's body became resistant to paralysis. In other words, his poison resistance had been raised to an inhuman level. Although he was not completely immune to the paralyzing poison, the duration of its effect was greatly reduced. For example, Kuradil's paralyzing pollen had only paralyzed Wu Yan for 3 seconds. The reason why Wu Yan didn't move after that was all an act. He wanted Kuradil to attack him. That way he would become an orange player. He could attack or even kill Kuradil and it wouldn't affect him anymore. Today, Kuradil has reached the end. As Wu Yan approached, Kuradil screamed in pain and staggered back like a criminal on death row. His eyes were filled with a strong attachment to life and a great fear of death. Although the pain in SAO was reduced by a lot, it was still there. The feeling of a sharp weapon piercing through the body was enough to kill a person in the real world. In the game, it wasn't a good feeling either. Looking at Kuradil's twisted expression, Wu Yan narrowed his eyes and his lips curled into a grin. You know what? I already know who you are. What? You're a member of Smiling Coffin, Trash in the Killer Guild. Wu Yan turned around and stared at Kuradil's expression. You made me wait for a long time. You. Kuradil gripped the sword that pierced through his body and looked at Wu Yan in fear. Did you plan to? Wu Yan curled his lips and he started laughing in a manner that isn't quite a smile. What do you think? No. Please spare me. Kuradil screamed in fear. I don't want to die yet. Wu Yan's eyes turned cold and the temperature in the air dropped by a few degrees. Let him kill the killer. Seeing that you took action in advance and didn't make me fall into the orange state. Before he finished, Wu Yan pulled out Heaven Gazer and pulled back. Heaven Gazer's blade flashed with a dense sword light. I won't let you die in one piece. I'll let you die a quick death. No, as Kuradil screamed in despair, the dazzling Heaven Gazer pierced through his chest once more. Arg! Kuradil felt his limbs turning cold as he lost all strength. He watched as his HP bar dropped to red and finally, he grinned in despair. He glared at Wu Yan with a crazed look in his eyes. You, murderer. Murderer? Wu Yan sneered and pulled out Heavenly Gazer. I'm just killing a dog. Bastard. Kuradil's vision blurred. The Heaven Gazer supporting his body was pulled out and he fell towards the ground. Just as he was about to hit the ground, his body shook and shattered into pieces. Kuradil. Die. Tiske. Wu Yan swung his sword and stored Heaven Gazer into his item bar. He glanced at the fragments that haven't completely disappeared and he couldn't help but sigh. Why didn't you choose a good day even if you want to die? I'm going to get married tomorrow, but you purposely came to dirty my hands. Murderer? Which one of those who died in my hands didn't have some background? You're just an ant who can only obtain a little power in the game world. I really haven't killed someone like you before. It's a good thing blood doesn't exist in this world. Otherwise, it'd be inauspicious. Wu Yan shook his head as if he just did something insignificant. He walked towards his home. For Wu Yan, killing Kuradil was just an interlude. Aincrad 55th floor, Grantham, Knights of the Blood Oath HQ. Heathcliff was sitting at his desk. He was organizing something as his eyes scanned through the papers in front of him. Now that Asuna is no longer a member of the Knights of the Blood, she's no longer in charge of the clearers. Heathcliff had no choice but to take over all the work and get himself busy. Normally there wouldn't be so many things to deal with. However, the players had just entered the 75th floor. Naturally, there would be a lot of things to deal with. After some time they would be able to have some free time. Heathcliff was in the middle of reviewing his work when a box appeared in front of him. It was an email. Heathcliff paused for a moment, then looked at the content of the email. When he saw the content, his pupils constricted. He closed the box in front of him and stood up. He looked out the window at the night sky. Not long after, he opened his personal interface and sent out an email. Remove Kuradil from Knights of the Blood and announced to the public that Kuradil was once a member of the Smiling Coffin. After sending the email, Heathcliff closed his personal interface. If Wu Yen was here, he would have cursed Heathcliff out. He didn't expect Heathcliff to know that Kuradil was a member of the Smiling Coffin. Heathcliff raised his head and spat out a name in an ethereal tone. Wu Yen. Chapter 704. Aincrad, 22nd floor. No one knew if it was because of the heavens, or if the administrator of this world had opened a back door, but today's weather was unusually good. In the distant horizon, a large number of white clouds were drifting, and the gentle sunlight was spreading. The temperature was neither too hot nor too cold, and it was so clear that it made people feel excited. Under such weather, the breathtaking scenery outside Wu Yan's house became even more breathtaking. The forest, the lake, the waterfall, the mountains, no matter which one it is, they are all flourishing. They are using their own ways to send their blessings to the owner of this place. Wu Yan woke up early in the living room of his mansion. It's rare that he didn't wake up late. In fact, he woke up early to tidy himself up. Things were different now. It didn't matter how sloppy he usually was. It didn't matter if he was bored and didn't want to tidy himself up. It didn't matter if he didn't care about his appearance or impression. But today he had to adjust himself to his best state to welcome the first time in his life. Wu Yan isn't that young anymore, he's almost 30 years old. The number of people who have had intimate relationships with him and are destined to be with him for the rest of his life is no less than double digits. However, this is the first time he's going to get married. Even if it's just a game and can't compare to a real wedding, Wu Yan still took it very seriously. He'll have to give the people who love him a title sooner or later. Today is a rehearsal for that. Wu Yan has already put on his own wedding attire. The pure white knight's attire on his body made him look different from his usual cold demeanor. Instead, he looks like a noble, elegant and courteous. Plus, he's not that bad looking to begin with, and his deep wine-red eyes. Wu Yan finally looks cool for once. Clothes make the man. Buddha relies on gold. Wu Yan exemplified this point perfectly. Dressed in a luxurious night suit, his handsomeness index shot up by a lot. Normally, he's at a level where he can be seen in public, but now, he's at a level where he can be flaunted in front of the public. There's a decorative knight's sword hanging on his waist. Wu Yan walked around uncomfortably with an unnatural expression on his face. Is this really okay? He usually wears a low-key black attire, but today he's wearing a dazzling pure white attire. It's natural that Wu Yan isn't used to it. Wu Yan isn't the only one in the living room. Kirito, Suda, Klein and Agil are also there. They're playing the role of groomsmen, accompanying the groom. That's why they came to Wu Yan's place early in the morning to help him arrange everything. Sachi, Cheyenne, Silica, and Liz are also Asuna's bridesmaids. By her side, the 8 of them could be considered as cheering for the couple who were having their first wedding. As for the wedding venue, Moonlit Black Cats and Furin are there to take care of it. Everything is going well, the only thing left is for the bride and groom to arrive. Kirito changed out of his usual black attire into a luxurious outfit. He gave Wu Yan a once-over and he nodded with a serious smile. Alright Yan. Your image now is really good. I won't embarrass you. Really? Wu Yan looked at Kirito suspiciously, a hint of nervousness appeared on his face. In the end, this is Wu Yan's first wedding in his life. Even if it's just a game, it's already this big of a deal. It's not much different from a wedding in the real world, if anything it might even surpass it. If this wedding ceremony were to be placed in the real world, it would be a lot bigger than other weddings. It's only natural that Wu Yan would be nervous. Hey, you're the Fey swordsman Wu Yan, the strongest player. Klein patted Wu Yan's shoulder. Show me some of your usual boldness. Wu Yan bitterly smiled at Klein's words. I want to, but when I think about the wedding I can't calm down. Even I find it hard to believe. With Infinite Arm's refinement, Wu Yan's heart, technique and physique have already fused into one, achieving the realm of peerless. Logically speaking, with the support of Infinite Arm's refinement, Wu Yan's state of mind should be very solid. No matter what kind of mental state he is in, he should be able to unleash his peak power. This is no joke. What doesn't make sense is that a small wedding can break the mental state of Wu Yan and make him nervous. That's an inconceivable thing to say. Suda, on the other hand, smiled knowingly. Well, this is normal. I believe that no matter who it is, They would more or less be a little nervous at this time. Klein nodded and laughed. From this point of view, the legendary Fey swordsman is just a kid. Don't forget that you're only 24 years old. Agile shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. You're talking like an uncle. What did you say? Klein was furious. I'm very young too. Haha. The four girls laughed at the same time. Wu Yan's nervousness lessened by quite a bit. He's glad that he got married today. Otherwise, if he went back and got married to all the girls and he still looked like this, that would be really embarrassing. Alright, relax, relax. Kirito chuckled. Just treat it like you're attending a banquet. It's not that different from what you're doing. It's a lot worse. Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Kirito. He lowered his head and touched the suit he is wearing. He felt a bit emotional. If only I could have a wedding ceremony with Hinajiku, Mikoto and the others. What are you thinking? Kirito punched Wu Yan's back and pushed Wu Yan away. There's no time for you to be nervous, it's time to go. Wu Yan made up his mind to give the girls a grand wedding. He calmed himself down. Wu Yan took 2 deep breaths and adjusted his collar. His eyes sharpened. Okay, let's go. Kirito, Suda, Klein, and Agile looked at each other and smiled. They followed Wu Yan out the door. Aincrad's 61st floor, Selma Brook. In her own room, Asuna looked at herself in the mirror. She had changed into a pure white princess dress and looked like a goddess. Her chestnut-colored eyes flashed with a trace of dreamy light as she slowly lost herself in her thoughts. Lifting her skirt, Asuna raised her hand and placed it on her chest. Her face blushed a little. I feel like I'm dreaming. Sachi, Cheyenne, Shili, and Liz looked at the otherworldly beauty Asuna. Even though it wasn't the first time they had seen her devastatingly beautiful face, their eyes couldn't help but flash with surprise. She's so beautiful. Asuna ne-san. Silica muttered. She's like an angel, Shireen sighed, her mouth puffed up a little. She's too beautiful. I should have asked the tailor to make me one too. Fortunately, he shook his head with a smile and walked over to Asuna and hugged her. Asuna is the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. I'm sure Oniai-san will never be able to escape from you. That's right. Liz giggled. Even I can't help but want to marry you. Asuna, why don't you abandon Wu Yan and come into my arms? Asuna rolled her eyes at Liz. Are you willing to abandon your Kirito? Liz choked and puffed her chest. If you're willing to, I'm willing to. Don't joke around. Sachi hurriedly stopped this pair of girls who might be interested in her and said, It's almost time, let's go. Asuna panicked for a second before she mustered up her courage and nodded firmly. Then she repeated what Wu Yan had just said. Okay, let's go. Chapter 705. Aincrad's 47th floor, Floria. Floria is located in the central area of Floria. Today the entire area has been booked. Known as the Garden of Flowers, it's a famous dating spot in Sao. It's a popular place for couples to hang out. No one can find fault with choosing this place as the venue for their wedding ceremony. The 47th floor of the World of Flowers is bustling with noise and excitement. Since early in the morning, the aqua-blue flashes on Floria's teleportation gate had been flashing non-stop. Streams of people kept pouring into the World of Flowers. In just one short morning, almost half of all the players had arrived at Floria. They only had one destination in mind, and that was the Flower Garden District in the central region of Floria. It was also the location where the wedding ceremony would be held today. It has been almost 2 years since SAO was launched. In the past 2 years, a lot of people have met, gotten to know each other, and fell in love with each other. Let's not talk about those who have bad intentions to get married. Although it's not every day, it's actually quite a lot of people who get married in this world. However, with so many players getting married, there had never been a case like today, where a wedding ceremony was held for the sake of getting married. Firstly, holding a wedding ceremony in SAO will cost a lot. That would undoubtedly cost a lot of money. Money in SAO is almost equivalent to life. Equipment, items, and so on all cost money, and there's no such thing. Players can't survive in SAO. Therefore, no one is willing to hold a wedding ceremony to announce their marriage. After all, the cost of holding a wedding ceremony is more than what a normal player, even a top player, can afford. Secondly, at the end of the day, this was still a game world. Once they cleared the game and returned to the real world, everything that had happened here would likely turn into nothing. With this concern, no one would spend a lot of money to get married in the game. With these two factors in mind, no couple in SAO will hold a wedding ceremony when they get married. At most, they'll invite their friends to a hotel to celebrate. That's the best they can do. As for a wedding ceremony, they've never even thought about it. One can only imagine. Today's wedding ceremony has made many people's jaws drop. Many people are secretly envious. Because of this, countless players flock to this place to witness the unprecedented wedding ceremony in this world. They want to broaden their horizons or leave a beautiful memory behind. No matter what, the players who were about to hold a wedding ceremony and walk down the aisle were all famous big shots, weren't they? Of course, a small portion of them came with the intention of causing trouble. Some of them were jealous of the newlyweds, some of them were Asuna's loyal fans who couldn't accept the fact that Asuna was about to get married, and some of them were narrow-minded people who couldn't stand the fact that other people were living a good life and wanted to stand out from the crowd. And these people all had the intention of ruining today's wedding, intending to stand out and make a name for themselves. However, these people's intentions are all for naught. Around the wedding venue, there were about a few hundred elite players wearing the best equipment. They had surrounded the entire venue, leaving only one entrance open. Players who wanted to enter the wedding venue had to go through the strict inspection of the security personnel at the entrance. These people are members of Moonlit Black Cats and Furin Kazan. Therefore, not just anyone could enter the wedding venue. First, one must have an invitation. These people were all invited, so naturally they could enter. Then there were those famous guild leaders or players. These famous existences could also enter the wedding venue. Those who had made a name for themselves in this world would not be afraid of them causing trouble here. That would only tarnish their reputation or provoke the two major guilds for no reason. Even if they did not have a good reputation to begin with, they would not cause trouble at a wedding unless they had a grudge against the bride and groom. As for the normal players, they can only watch the wedding from outside the encirclement of Moonlit Black Cats and Furin Kazan. This way, even if they want to cause trouble, they have to consider the gap between themselves and the other guilds. They won't be able to affect the wedding ceremony. It can be seen that Wu Yen put in a lot of effort to make this wedding go smoothly. Such a situation also led to a black mass of heads surging like a tide outside the wedding venue. The extraordinarily lively clamor soared into the sky, mixed with the dancing petals in the surroundings. However, it only made people feel lively and did not give people the impression that it was irritating, noisy, chaotic, or anything like that. Those who had the qualifications to enter the wedding venue were first shocked by this lively scene. Then, under the envious gazes of everyone, they walked into the venue with their heads held high. Based on the current situation, perhaps being able to participate in this wedding had become a kind of honor instead. When most of the guests have arrived at a certain moment, look. One of the players pointed in the direction of the teleportation gate and cried out in alarm. His voice was strangely loud enough for everyone to hear. Elven swordsman Wu Yen is here. Under everyone's gaze, the main character finally made his appearance. Wu Yen looked at everyone and then looked at the entrance of the venue. He took a deep breath and walked over. Behind him, Kirito, Suda, Klein, and Agile followed like bodyguards. Did you see that? Even the leaders of Moonlit Black Cats and Furin Kazan are here. What the hell are you talking about? Look at those elite players who are maintaining order. Which one of them isn't a member of those two guilds? They must be friends with the Elven swordsman, otherwise why would they show up? The clearers have the help of those two guilds, the two leaders even accompanied them. There's also that gigolo, he must be the black swordsman, Kirito. What a grand occasion. And that famous merchant Agile, I didn't expect him to be here too. Connections, resources, extravagance, they have everything. This. How much money will this cost? Tisk, he's the Elven swordsman, do you think he lacks money? You're right. If I can marry Asuna-sama, I'm willing to spend any amount of money. Come back when you have enough money to buy a house. I don't even know if your entire fortune can cover the cost of this wedding. I'm so envious of Asuna-sama. If there's a man who's willing to host a wedding like this for me, I'll marry him. You? Wait until you find someone who's willing to take you, then you can consider whether the other party's wallet is rich enough. Conversations like the one above were constantly happening among the surrounding players. The atmosphere of the scene was getting more and more intense. At this moment, many people had forgotten that they were in the game and were immersed in this unprecedented wedding, accompanied by Kirito and the others. Wu Yen walked on a path filled with flowers and arrived at the center of the venue. When he saw the panoramic view in front of him, Wu Yen slowed down his pace. Wiping the sweat off his forehead, Wu Yen grumbled. Why are there so many people here? Kirito grinned and teased him. What's wrong? Is our elven swordsman afraid of strangers? It's not like I haven't entered a venue with so many people before. Wu Yen walked forward awkwardly and muttered, "Why am I so nervous today?" Kirito, Suda, Klein, and Agile looked at each other and smiled. They were gloating over the other party's misfortune. Chapter 706. When they arrived at the center of the venue, Wu Yen, Kirito, Suda, Klein, and Agile stopped and turned around to look at the venue. The entire venue was centered around a giant flower bed. Wu Yen and the others stood in front of the flower bed and had a good view of the entire venue. In the front row, flower paths, either straight or twisted, surrounded the wedding venue, depicting beautiful patterns. As the wind blew, the petals danced in the air, rendering the venue like cherry blossoms, dazzling everyone. The colorful flowers emitted a faint fragrance. Everyone at the wedding venue had a satisfied look on their faces. Long tables covered with white tablecloths were arranged on the sides of the flower paths. Dishes of food, desserts, bottles of wine, and other beverages were arranged in an orderly manner. The invited players wandered around the tables, causing the food on the tables to gradually decrease. "Congratulations, Yan Kuan. Congratulations, Mr. Wu Yen. Congratulations, congratulations, Wu Yen said." The people who were still chatting with each other raised their cups and gave their blessings to Wu Yen when they saw the main character making his appearance. Wu Yen smiled and the nervousness in his heart disappeared without a trace. He raised his cup and thanked them as well. His actions revealed a sense of rationality and elegance. His expression was natural. Wu Yen, Kirito, Suda, Klein, and Agile looked at each other. Wasn't he nervous before? Klein rubbed his head and he looked at Wu Yen with an odd look. Why did he suddenly become a different person? Some people are like this, Suda said indifferently. They're so nervous before they go on stage, but once they're on stage they're able to handle it with ease. It seems like Yen is born to be a big character. Agile nodded and patted Kirito, who was sweating profusely, and said, "There is also a type of person who is very calm before going on stage. But a guy who reveals his true colors the moment he enters the arena, this kind of person only knows how to talk big." Kirito glanced at Agile. Just as he was about to say something, a group of people surrounded them. "Guild Leader Suda, I didn't expect you to come." "Guild Leader Klein, long time no see." "Yo, Agile. Did you find anything good recently?" In the blink of an eye, Suda, Klein, Agile, and the others were surrounded by their friends and acquaintances. Only Kirito, who had always been alone and had very few connections, was left standing on the side, looking at the three people who abandoned him. The corner of his mouth twitched. Helplessly, Kirito approached Wu Yen, who is also a solo traveler. He asked Wu Yen in a low voice, "Aren't you a solo traveler? How come you know so many people?" Wu Yan's expression didn't change. He was still holding up his cup to the people around him. Kirito almost fell to the ground when he heard what Suda said. "I don't know them." Kirito's eyebrows twitched. "Then why do you seem so familiar with them?" "Nothing, it's nothing." Wu Yen calmly said something that made Kirito puke blood. "Since they congratulated me, I should respond. Then I'll respond. It's better than standing there awkwardly like a statue like you." Kirito was petrified. It's true that Wu Yen didn't know any of the people who came to congratulate him. He didn't invite any of the players who came to the wedding, he only invited Kirito and the others. Those who came to the wedding either came uninvited or were invited by Klein and the others. They had nothing to do with Wu Yen. Regardless, they came to the wedding. Even if they came to befriend him or if they came with ulterior motives, Wu Yen still had to greet them with a smile. After all, it was a joyous occasion. After who knows how long, the entire venue suddenly went silent. The lively venue suddenly became silent. Everyone, including Wu Yen, didn't say a word. Their attention was drawn to the figure that appeared at the entrance of the venue. In front, a beautiful figure wearing a princess dress slowly walked over from afar and entered the venue. The pure white princess dress shone with a seductive holy light under the sunlight. Her pure white shoulders were directly exposed to the air and sunlight. A sparkling necklace was worn around her neck. Together with a pair of swaying, sparkling earrings that constantly glowed, the beautiful figure's pearl-like skin was even more alluring. Her chestnut-colored hair was coiled on top of her head, making her look like a beautiful princess. A noble and elegant aura emanated from her body. A trace of amazement and infatuation appeared in the eyes of all the players present, causing them to be unable to regain their senses for a long time. Stunning. Beautiful beyond words. The newcomer is none other than Asuna. Asuna had a beautiful smile on her face. Her rosy cheeks made many people gulp, revealing her true emotions. One of Asuna's hands was held by Liz. Sachi, Silica, and Cheyenne were walking behind her. Wu Yen couldn't help but feel a little lost as he stared at her. Asuna's nervous and shy smile instantly changed. When she saw the figure in the white night suit, the smile on her face changed. She became even more shy, but at the same time, there was a hint of happiness and joy on her face. Those who were immersed in Asuna's beauty couldn't extricate themselves from it. When she walked up to Wu Yen and saw Wu Yen staring at her, Asuna's heart was filled with joy. But at the same time her cheeks puffed up. "How long do you want to stare at me?" Asuna's words woke Wu Yen up from his daze. Wu Yen awkwardly scratched his face and shook his head helplessly. "Who told you to be so charming today?" Asuna turned her head away as if she's angry. But anyone with a discerning eye can see the joy in her eyes. A woman will doll herself up for her confidant, especially when that person is the one she loves. Liz grinned and patted Wu Yan's chest. "How is it? Are you stunned? Don't you feel like you've earned something?" "Yes, I don't think so," Wu Yan mumbled. "I do feel proud." Kirito, Liz, and the others were startled for a moment before they all smiled. "You're right," Sachi giggled. "Anyone would feel proud to be able to marry such a beautiful girl, even Oni-sen." Sachi then looked at the crowd and attracted everyone's attention. Everyone saw that the people who were stunned and infatuated with Asuna are now looking at Wu Yan. But this time they're not stunned or infatuated, they're envious and jealous. Even the people who were blocked by moonlit black cats and Furin-Kazan could hear the commotion. It was easy to imagine how excited Asuna's loyal fans would be to see her in someone else's arms. "Here for you." Liz pursed her lips. She handed Asuna's hand over to Wu Yan with a serious look on her face. "I've given you your bride in one piece. You can't let her down." Asuna looked at Wu Yan. Wu Yan smiled at her and held her hand. "Now that I've taken Asuna's hand, I won't let it go for the rest of my life. Even if I have to return to the real world." Asuna's eyes glowed with a strange light. Her gaze became softer and softer until it became as soft as the surface of a lake. Chapter 707. With the arrival of the newlyweds, the wedding started to reach its climax. Players, whether they've met before or not, came up to Wu Yan and Asuna and gave them their blessings. Wu Yan raised his glass and thanked everyone while Asuna held his hand. Both of them thanked everyone who came to attend the wedding. As for how many people came to congratulate them, they've almost forgotten about it. They're already numb to it because there's just too many people here. The two of them were tired from dealing with the crowd, but they're also very happy. The joy that accompanied them was a reflection of their inner feelings. "There sure are a lot of people here today." Kirito held Liz's hand and looked at the crowd. He felt his scalp tingle. "Who invited all these people?" "Yes, they were all invited by Klein and Suda, and some of them are Agil's acquaintances." Liz rolled her eyes at Kirito and said, "Klein and Suda are the leaders of the clearers, so of course they have a lot of connections. Agil is a merchant, so his connections aren't any less than those two. Do you think everyone is like you, a loner all the time?" Kirito smiled awkwardly and shut his mouth. He didn't want to say anything else. Klein, Suda, Agil, and the others went to entertain the guests. Sachi, Cheyenne, and Silica did the same. They shuttled back and forth between the tables while eating. At the same time, she let out a bell-like laughter, which became a beautiful scene in the entire venue. "These things are delicious." Cheyenne held a plate in one hand and a fork in the other. "It's so much better than the food in the guild. Big Brother spent a lot of money to hire some amazing chefs to make these dishes." Sachi looked at Cheyenne and said, "I heard that those chefs have been practicing their cooking skills ever since they joined SO. Their skills are among the best among all the players." It's a pity that Wu Yan nibbled on a piece of cheesecake and said, "Why don't we have Wu Yan nibbles on the menu?" Sachi shook her head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Big Brother is the groom today. How could he cook personally? Celia Kaba blinked and pointed at her lips with her fork. "That's why I said it's a pity, oh Shili." Cheyenne rolled her eyes and smiled slyly. "You're so optimistic about Yen. Don't tell me you're interested in him too?" Shili's expression stiffened, and then her face turned red. She turned around awkwardly. How is this possible? Ah. Oh. Shireen let out a strange cry. She hugged Celica. "I know. You even dated Yen here before, all the way to the Hill of Memories." "Oh. How did you know?" Celica asked out of reflex. She immediately regretted her question. "I knew it." Cheyenne rubbed her face against Sheely's as if she had discovered a new continent. How about this? I'll help you snatch Yen away from Asuna. Don't do anything rash. Sheely panicked. My feelings for Big Brother Wu Yen are only the same as my big brother's. Cheyenne glanced at her suspiciously. Is that so? Sheely pursed her lips. She looked at Cheyenne's doubtful expression and said embarrassedly, yes. I have a bit of a crush on him, Sheely quickly explained, but it's just a crush. Please don't say anything. If Big Sister Asuna finds out, she'll hate you. What if she hates me? Sachi, who had been listening to Sheely, tugged at their hands and said, that's enough. Don't say anything rash. Big Brother and the others don't have it easy. Sheely and Cheyenne nodded and continued to eat. Yen, you look tired. Asuna, who was accompanying Wu Yen, wiped his face when she saw Wu Yan's tired expression. I'm fine. Wu Yen squeezed out a smile. Usually Wu Yen was annoyed by this kind of situation. He has never attended a large banquet before. Although it was appropriate for him to handle this kind of situation, it was still uncomfortable. However, today is his wedding, he has to face it. Asuna nodded and said softly, how about this? I'll help you deal with the lower-ranked people. You can talk to the leaders of the guilds. As the former vice leader of Knights of the Blood, Asuna was a keen strategist. However, it was unavoidable for her to attend such events. If it wasn't for Wu Yan's status as the head of the family, Asuna wouldn't have let Wu Yan work so hard. While the two were busy dealing with the crowd, Heathcliff, who was wearing a red knight's battle suit, suddenly appeared at the entrance of the venue. He was accompanied by several high-ranking members of Knights of the Blood. They were wearing white armor with red edges and capes. They walked towards Wu Yan and Asuna. Leader. Asuna looked at Heathcliff with a surprised expression. Even Wu Yan flinched for a second. Usually Heathcliff would not even show up for strategy meetings. He would only show up when they were trying to take down some of the bosses, but he had never shown up for such a big ceremony. What kind of wind blew him here today? Heathcliff smiled at the two of them and looked at Asuna. Although you have left Knights of the Blood, you have helped me a lot. Today is a special day. It's not strange for me to congratulate you, right? No. It's very strange. The same thought appeared in both Wu Yan and Asuna's mind, but they weren't stupid enough to say it out loud. It's a good thing you didn't come late. Wu Yan didn't want to argue with Heathcliff, he didn't want to offend him. Just remember to drink a few more cups later. Of course. Heathcliff smiled. Well then, congratulations to the two of you. Thank you. Wu Yan and Asuna looked at each other and smiled. Congratulations and cheers resounded throughout the entire wedding venue. Even the ordinary players who were stopped to watch the proceedings of the wedding. Accompanied by laughter and petals that filled the sky, the people ushered in the dusk. Wu Yan and Asuna walked to the center of the flower bed. They looked at each other with an indescribable emotion in their eyes. They looked at each other for a long time without saying a word. On the other side of the stage, the light of the setting sun shone down on them, highlighting the newlyweds in front of the audience. The venue gradually quieted down. Everyone looked at the newlyweds with the setting sun as the background, as if they were waiting for something. Asuna looked at Wu Yan, who was standing in front of her with a gentle smile on his face. Her eyes started to blur. Why do I feel like I'm dreaming? It's not a dream, Asuna. Wu Yan held Asuna's hand and looked at her beautiful face. Look, there's warmth in my hand. Asuna looked down at their intertwined hands and tightened her grip. A beautiful smile appeared on her face. Yeah, there's warmth, it's hot, it's so warm. Asuna? Wu Yan took a step forward. Thank you, for letting me meet you. A tear fell from the corner of Asuna's eye, but she smiled. Thank you too, for letting me meet you. Wait for me, no matter where you are, I will find you. Okay. I'll wait for you. With that, a ring appeared in their hands at the same time. They then opened their personal interface and applied for marriage. After clicking confirm, they put their rings on each other's hands. Then they couldn't help but put their heads together. A thunderous applause sounded in the venue. Chapter 708. Nighttime. Inside the room, Wu Yan and Asuna hugged each other as they slept on the bed. Hanging on the wall in front of them were the wedding dresses they wore during the wedding. It's almost like a wedding photo. The wedding was perfect in every way except for the fact that they forgot to take a wedding photo. So, under Asuna's suggestion, the couple hung their wedding dresses on the wall to save them the trouble of taking a new wedding photo. Asuna leaned her body against Wu Yan's chest as much as possible. She waved her hand in front of her face while humming a song. Asuna's in a good mood. On her hand there's a ring, a wedding ring. Unlike Asuna, whose glowing, Wu Yan's face is filled with fatigue. His wine-red eyes are filled with tears from yawning. Today, not only did he attend his own wedding ceremony, but he also dealt with the guests for the whole day. He even got up much earlier than usual in the morning. After a whole day of traveling, exhaustion was tormenting him all the time. It made him feel very miserable. After all, he was a very lazy person. If it wasn't for his own wedding, he probably wouldn't go even if he was offered money. When he thought about the number of wives he had in the other world and the fact that he would have to hold a wedding with them one day, he couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle as he sighed in his heart. He doesn't know if he's lucky or bitter. Speaking of happiness, he doesn't like this kind of big occasion at all. If possible, he doesn't want to participate. It's just tiring himself to death. It's a bitter life. Who else can have so many lovers like him and all of them are gorgeous? She believed that no one was happier than her. This kind of contradiction made Wu Yan's heart very conflicted. Of course, conflicted is conflicted. He'll still have what he needs. Sooner or later he'll hold a grand wedding for all the girls. After making up his mind, Wu Yan looked down at Asuna, who's in his arms. She's looking at the wedding ring in her hand. He shook his head. He rubbed his cheek against her scalp. Okay, stop looking. You'll have plenty of time to look at it in the future. Hearing this, Asuna didn't put down her hand. Instead, she bumped Wu Yan's chin with her head and muttered, "If only I had time to look at it, Wu Yan tilted his head in confusion. He looked at Asuna. Is the wedding ring going to grow wings and fly away? Or does it have durability and will disappear sooner or later? It's not like that. Asuna sighed faintly. Her hand stopped shaking, but her eyes were still staring at the wedding ring. But when I think about how this ring will disappear after Asao clears the dungeon, I feel a little reluctant. Wu Yan smiled bitterly and stroked Asuna's hair. If you can't bear to part with it, I'll buy you an identical one when we return to the real world. Asuna didn't look at the ring, she looked at Wu Yan instead. Really? Of course it's real. Wu Yan rolled his eyes and said in a speechless manner, Do I look like someone who would joke about something like this? You don't look like one. Asuna pursed her lips and turned her head away from the other side. But I didn't say I'm going to accept your ring. Wu Yan was confused. What do you mean? That's right. That's what I meant. Asuna glanced at Wu Yan. She grabbed one of his hands and started playing with it. I agreed to marry you in the game, but I didn't agree to marry you in the real world. Of course I can't accept your wedding ring. Wu Yan finally understood. That's right, it's the same as the game. Giving a wedding ring in the real world is the same as proposing. However, it's different from the game world. In the real world, marriage is a lifelong thing. Asuna is only 17 years old, how could she accept his ring so easily? If he's not mistaken, Asuna wants him to propose to her in the real world as well, right? Wu Yan shook his head and pretended to sigh. I see. Then I won't send you off. Asuna, who was playing with Wu Yan's hand, suddenly stopped. She raised her head and glared at him. How dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? Wu Yan puffed out his chest. You said you don't want it? I didn't say I don't want it. Asuna shouted. I just said I can't accept it. If you can't accept it, doesn't that mean you don't want it? It's not that I don't want it. Then you want it? Yes, that's not it either. Then you don't want it? Wu Yan sighed and turned his head away sadly. Asuna's heart ached when she saw this. She quickly put her arms around Wu Yan's neck. I didn't say I don't want it. I want it. I want it. I want it, okay? Is that so? Wu Yan turned around with a sly smile on his face. Since you said you want it, I will be merciful and give it to you. Asuna knew that Wu Yan was toying with her when she saw the look on Wu Yan's face. How dare you? Asuna gnashed her teeth and she pounced on Wu Yan. She bit down on Wu Yan's ear with her peachy lips. I'm going to bite you to death. Wu Yan panicked when he saw Asuna trying to bite his ear. He quickly grabbed hold of her. What? Are you trying to kill your husband? Asuna ignored him and continued to bite Wu Yan's ear. However, Asuna's stamina is no match for Wu Yan's stamina. Since she couldn't bite Wu Yan's ear, Asuna immediately changed her target. She bit Wu Yan's hand that was on her body. Wu Yan was so scared that he waved his hands frantically. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. Although he knew Asuna was childish at times, he never heard of her biting people. Whether it was in the original novel or in this world. No, I've already been bitten by Asuna once. The two started messing around on the bed. To make Asuna behave, Wu Yan even tickled Asuna. Asuna laughed so hard that she almost choked on her own breath. Not long after, the two of them stopped while gasping for breath. When they stopped, the two of them immediately realized that something was amiss. Asuna's back was facing Wu Yan. She was leaning against Wu Yan's chest. Wu Yan, on the other hand, was holding Asuna in his arms. His hands went under her armpits and reached up to grab Asuna's plump breasts. The two of them froze in an instant. Wu Yan was the first to react. He looked at Asuna, who had a stiff expression on her face. Her soft and supple body made his heart itch for action. Asuna's body fragrance kept drifting into Wu Yan's nose. Her soft body was leaning against his chest. Wu Yan could clearly feel every inch of her skin, every whiff of her fragrance, and that deadly touch. Gradually, he couldn't hold it in anymore. His hands slowly began to knead Asuna's plump breasts. The sudden stimulation made Asuna moan involuntarily. She finally recovered from this sudden incident. Asuna's face turned red. A burning sensation spread from her chest to every part of her body. Her body started to soften and her heart started to panic. She quickly grabbed Wu Yan's hands and said angrily, What are you doing? Nah. Asuna? Wu Yan licked his lips. His hands didn't stop rubbing her breasts. Asuna moaned in response. We are a married couple now. Shouldn't we do something? Asuna understood what he meant. But before she could say anything, Wu Yan flipped her over and pressed her under his body. Not long after, the sound of panting and moaning could be heard. Chapter 709. Wu Yan had a good night's sleep. When he woke up, his whole body felt limp and numb. It felt like he took some kind of poison. He moaned in pleasure. This feeling is 1,000 times more comfortable than his usual morning stretch. He shifted his body slightly and leaned against the headboard. He glanced at the unusually clear weather outside the window. A comfortable smile slowly crept onto his face. Looks like today is going to be a good day. Retracting his gaze from the window, he looked down at Asuna's chest. She was breathing rhythmically, her chest was moving up and down like a kitten. She looked just like her usual self. It's a pity that her smooth shoulders are exposed outside the quilt, her slightly red skin, and her blushing face with a teardrop on it are telling others that last night wasn't a peaceful night. Wu Yan's hand slowly slid down her back. He could feel her smooth and soft skin at close range. Wu Yan's heart was calm, he even felt a little bit of joy. The heavens took pity on Wu Yan. 2 years of single life in Sao. Wu Yan had never been separated from the girls for such a long period of time. Ever since he had his first pleasure, he had never been alone for such a long period of time. How could Wu Yan not be pissed when he had his fill of meat? Under such circumstances, one can only imagine what kind of punishment Asuna had to endure last night, at this moment. For the first time in his life, Wu Yan felt grateful to Kayaba Akihiko, who created this world. He was grateful that Kayaba Akihiko brought back the wonderful feeling of love between a man and a woman in this world. Otherwise, Wu Yan can't even imagine the feeling of marrying such a beautiful woman and not being able to have sex with her. Even though he had sex with Asuna in the game, it was only in the game. But with Asuna's personality, if she doesn't really like him, she won't give him away. If she really doesn't like him, Asuna won't give in even if it's in the game. In other words, Asuna is in the game. There's no difference between the game and the real world. The only difference is that Asuna is still a virgin in the real world. But since he got to have sex with her in the game, it shouldn't be too hard for him to do it in the real world. Wu Yan grinned and he rested his head on Asuna's head. His thoughts started drifting away. It's been 2 years. Based on the time ratio between the dungeon and the Spalier world, it's been 2 weeks in the Spalier world. It's been almost a week, right? How are Chuju, Kotori, Ikaros, Shokuho Misaki, Kurumi, Toka, Astria, Flandra-chan, and Yoshino? Mikoto, Shokuho Misaki, Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku, how are they doing in the Behemoth Forest? And his younger sisters, were they obedient? I'm not here anymore, I can't cook for them. Are they eating well? I miss them so much. Wu Yan's heart started pounding. He clutched his chest and listened to his own heartbeat. He vaguely heard the girls calling out to him. In the other world, Chuju, Kotori, Ikaros, Shokuho Misaki, Kurumi, Toka, Astria, Flandra-chan, and Yoshino were playing around in the Spalier world's villa. Mikoto, Shokuho Misaki, Kinohara Sai, Frenda, and Takitsubu Riku who were playing with their sisters outside the behemoth forest did the same thing. They clutched their chests and their thoughts started drifting away. Perhaps this is the true meaning of life intertwining. No matter where or when they are, they will be able to feel each other's longing. A soft moan came after who knows how long. Wu Yin, who was lost in his thoughts, came back to his senses. He hid his longing deep in his heart and a smile appeared on his face as he looked at the source of the sound. Asuna closed her eyes and rubbed her head against Wu Yan's chest. Her beautiful eyes slowly opened. There was a soul-stirring fluctuation in them. Asuna's expression looked so lovable, Wu Yan couldn't hold himself back. He lowered his head and he planted a big kiss on her cheeks. Ah! Being suddenly attacked, Asuna screamed and woke up from her sleep. She quickly raised her head and looked in the direction of the attacker. In the next second, Wu Yan's smiling face appeared in front of her eyes. After blinking her eyes, Asuna finally came back to her senses. She felt herself lying naked in Wu Yan's arms, and the memories of last night came back to her. Her blushing face turned even redder, and Wu Yan's heart started to beat faster. With a red face, Asuna glared at Wu Yan and pinched Wu Yan hard. Wu Yan howled. His face, which had been smiling proudly, became slightly distorted. What are you doing? Nothing. Asuna gritted her teeth and she punched Wu Yan with her fist. I just want to hit you, can't I? Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he shook his head. Fine, you're the boss today, you can do whatever you want. That's what you said. Asuna snorted and turned her head away, her body gently twisting. I'm hungry, cook for me. No problem. Wu Yan answered without hesitation. He hugged Asuna tightly and stood up from the bed. Her body was completely exposed to the air. Asuna shrieked as she shielded her vitals. Her face turned red as she yelled at Wu Yan. What are you doing? Nothing much. Wu Yan grinned. He raised an eyebrow at Asuna. I just want to hug you, can't I? You? Asuna bit her lips in embarrassment. But I'm not wearing any clothes. What's the matter? Wu Yan said with a straight face. I'm not wearing anything either, we're both wearing the same thing. Asuna was stunned by such a shameless statement. Is there anyone worse than him in this world? What? Asuna started struggling, she tried to break free from Wu Yan's embrace. Put me down. No. Wu Yan ignored Asuna. He got off the bed and walked towards the living room. Let's go. I'm going to cook for you. Wait. Asuna struggled even harder, her face was full of anger and disbelief. Do you want to run around the house in this state? What's the matter? Wu Yan used his 5-word mantra again and said to Asuna while walking. It's just the two of us anyway, I don't want to. Asuna screamed hysterically. She didn't care about protecting her body and raised her hand above her head. A pink light flashed on her hand and Asuna threw a punch at Wu Yan. Wu Yan was shocked. He didn't expect Asuna to attack him so directly. He quickly turned his head and dodged the attack. Taking advantage of this opening, Asuna jumped out of Wu Yan's arms and landed on the ground not far away. She crossed her arms in front of her and glared at Wu Yan with a red face. Well, you actually attacked me. Wu Yan grinned and slowly approached her. If that's the case, I won't hold back. Asuna screamed when she saw Wu Yan approaching her. She turned around and ran, but the wolf immediately chased after her. Chapter 710. It's been almost a day since the unprecedented wedding in Sao. Even though it's only been a day, the news of the wedding had spread like wildfire throughout Aincrad. It's become a topic of conversation for many players during their free time. When they're leveling up or doing their daily activities, they couldn't help but bring up yesterday's wedding to show how big of an impact it had on the players. In hotels, public places, and even on the streets, players can hear people talking about yesterday's wedding every once in a while. Even players passing by in the wild are talking about it. Apparently, there's not a single player in this game who doesn't know about yesterday's wedding. Of course, the main topic of discussion is the wedding, but the discussion isn't necessarily positive. There are those who are bashing Asuna, those who are Asuna's fans, those who are jealous of Asuna, those who are jealous of Asuna, those who are jealous of Wu Yan, those who scolded Wu Yan for wasting his money. In short, there are all sorts of people who are interested in Asuna. But no matter what, yesterday's wedding was going to be the talk of the town for some time to come. It's worth mentioning. Some of the players still couldn't accept the news of Asuna's marriage. They even formed a protest group to protest against yesterday's wedding. They want Wu Yan to release their beloved Asuna. It's as if Wu Yan is forcing Asuna to marry him. What's even more surprising is that quite a number of players responded to their protest. Isn't this too much of a scam? Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he heard about this from today's newspaper. He couldn't stay calm anymore. Am I guilty of marrying a wife? What kind of logic is this? Ahaha. Asuna, who was cleaning the living room, happened to pass by Wu Yan. She poked her head out from behind the sofa and saw the news on the newspaper. She couldn't help but giggle. She patted Wu Yan's shoulder. Asuna teased. Did you see that? Everyone thinks that I was forced to marry you, so you should feel honored to be able to marry me? Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Asuna and said, Yes, yes, yes. I'm very honored. Really, I didn't expect your support team to be this crazy. Is it worth it? Who knows? Asuna didn't answer. He continued to tidy up the huge hall, which could be seen clearly. Asuna seems to like this kind of life very much, otherwise she wouldn't have cleaned up the living room. In SAO, cleaning can be omitted. Because of the settings, no matter where the house is, it will never be stained with dust. Just like the players' clothes, they will never get dirty, so there's no need to clean the house. After all, the main theme of this world is the game, and the main focus is the strategy. So, it's natural to avoid such chores as much as possible. However, Asuna seems to enjoy cleaning up the house. It's not that the house is dirty, but she likes the feeling of living. From Asuna's words, she doesn't seem to care about the fact that she's so popular with the players. This is natural. Asuna is not the kind of person who likes the light and the stage. Before Wu Yan met her, Asuna only cared about the game. She didn't even know when she started to have fans. Therefore, for those so-called fans, who clamored to liberate her, although Asuna didn't disdain them, she simply waved her hand and forgot about them. At most, she would use them to spice up her newlywed life. Contrary to Asuna, Wu Yan browsed through the newspaper in an annoyed manner. These bastards, do they think it's that hard for Asuna to marry me? How can they think of forcing me to marry her? Give me back my Asuna and make it sound like they want me to pay with my life. Don't think I don't know who started this. Isn't it the members of Knights of the Blood who are dissatisfied with Asuna's resignation? Don't let me find out who you are. Asuna didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she heard Wu Yan's nagging. She also knows that her resignation from Knights of the Blood has caused a lot of dissatisfaction in the guild, and those so-called fans are the most radical. After all, they often see her in the guild. Of course, Asuna doesn't regret quitting Knights of the Blood. She wasn't happy in the guild at all. Although quitting will slow down the clearing process and delay the time she can leave this world, Asuna doesn't want to leave this world anymore. Just like what Wu Yan said before, Asuna wants to enjoy life. She wants to enjoy this peaceful life with her lover by her side. Maybe she will go to the front lines again in the future, but she won't be so enthusiastic about it anymore. The only reason she went to the front lines is to make sure she doesn't fall behind too much in terms of levels. Okay, let's ignore those people. Asuna walked behind Wu Yan and pulled Wu Yan up from the sofa. Then she pushed him towards the door. We are almost out of ingredients, go buy some back. Huh? There's nothing left? Wu Yan turned around in surprise. Normally, he would have a lot of ingredients in his inventory, how come there are no more of them? Asuna puffed up her cheeks and said, Did you forget that you haven't been out in the wild for a week because of the wedding? In a week's time, all the ingredients would have been gone. What about you? Wu Yan asked curiously. Don't you have a lot of ingredients in your inventory as well? It's 2 people now, not just 1. Asuna put her hands on her waist and started scolding him. 3 meals a day, that's 21 meals a week. I'm surprised that our ingredients can last this long. Asuna pushed Wu Yan towards the door again. So, go buy some back. Yes, 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 I got it. Wu Yan sighed and he walked out the door grumpily. Seriously, isn't it your job to buy ingredients? Who is your wife here? Remember to come back early? Asuna waved at him with a smile. Yes. Wu Yan turned around and walked out of the forest. Wu Yan opened his character interface and checked the items in his inventory while walking slowly towards the nearest town. Wu Yan spent a lot of money to make his and Asuna's wedding a beautiful one. It was such a grand wedding. Whether it was the venue, the guests' food and drinks, the chefs and ingredients, the tailors and the staff who came to help with the wedding, all of these things required money. That's why their wedding attracted so much attention. Even someone as rich as Wu Yan spent almost all of his money on the wedding. What's left might seem like a lot to other players, but compared to what he used to have, it's like the difference between heaven and earth. And that's after he married Asuna. They shared the same inventory, money, and even Asuna sold her house on the 61st floor. Otherwise he would have even less money. Well, I guess it's enough to just eat and wait for death to come. Wu Yan pursed his lips and he closed the interface. But I still need to buy items. Chapter 7:11. Come and take a look. Newly crafted equipment. It's definitely the best. Selling materials. Crafting equipment. Crafting weapons. Crafting potions. We have materials for all professions. Cheap and good. Come and take a look if you need items. Recovery items. Quest items. We have everything you need. I just got a crystal item. I sold it at a low price. Buy it. Hey, did you hear that? It's a crystal item. Where's the crystal item? Let's go. Let's go and take a look. Shouts and shouts came from all directions. It's as noisy as a wet market. Wu Yan couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. Stalls like this could only be set up on lower floors like the 22nd floor. Even if there were people who set up stalls on higher floors, they would be looked down upon by others. This was because the average player's level and money were still pretty good. If they wanted to do business on higher floors, they would do so in their own shops. Only players with low levels and money will set up stalls. Because of this, it's natural for lower floors to have a wet market like this. Wu Yan pursed his lips as he listened to the shouts and shouts around him. Most of the shouts and shouts are a bit exaggerated. For example, the newly crafted equipment is only suitable for players around level 30. The quality of the materials and items are also relatively low. It's only suitable for players on the 30th floor and below. For Wu Yan, he'll probably just throw it away when he kills monsters. Under such circumstances, Wu Yan is starting to doubt if he made the right decision by coming here to buy ingredients. He has a wife with a huge appetite at home. She won't be happy eating anything that isn't made with rare ingredients. Is it really possible to buy rare ingredients here? This is Wu Yan's own fault. It's fair to say that Asuna's appetite is all because of him. Without him providing her with rare ingredients and delicious dishes every day, Asuna wouldn't be so picky about her food. After all, she was still a poor girl who could be won over by a hamburger. The only thing worth paying attention to is the stall selling crystal items. Crystal items aren't like equipment or materials. They're extremely valuable no matter which floor you're on. To put it bluntly, the price of a transfer crystal is equivalent to the total price of most of the items in this stall. On the higher floors, there are many cases of top players struggling to gather enough money to buy a crystal item. To be honest, Wu Yan was surprised to see a crystal item being sold on the 22nd floor. Wu Yan looked at the stall that was filled with people and saw the owner of the stall who was holding a crystal. He looked very proud of himself. As for the transfer crystal, it's not that Wu Yan doesn't have the money to buy it. Although he spent a lot of money, it's more than enough for him to buy a crystal item. The main reason is that he doesn't need the transfer crystal. He has more than 10 transfer crystals in his inventory. He even has a recovery crystal that can restore full HP in one go. He even has at least 3 of them. If it's a recovery crystal, maybe Wu Yan will buy it. But it's just a transfer crystal, he doesn't care about it. Although the 22nd floor is one of the lower floors, the ingredients here are more than enough to catch his eye. Unlike some of the more precious items that can only be found on higher floors, the ingredients can be found on any floor. It's not like there aren't any rare ingredients here. Although their levels aren't that high, they aren't low either. When he passed by the stalls selling ingredients, Wu Yan would buy any rare ingredients they see. He swept up most of the rare ingredients in the town. The stall owner somehow found out that there's a rich man buying rare ingredients. They all put up their precious ingredients and earned a lot from Wu Yan. In the end, both sides were satisfied with the outcome. Wu Yan isn't interested in selling anything other than food ingredients. This made the other stall owners hate themselves for not selling food ingredients. It didn't take long for Wu Yan to buy a lot of rare ingredients. It's enough for him and Asuna to eat for a while. Let's leave it at that for now. Wu Yan smacked his lips and he counted the ingredients in his inventory. He noticed that the ingredients he bought are shrinking in size. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That Asuna. Wu Yan, who is counting the ingredients, didn't notice that the player selling the transfer crystal has been watching him ever since he started buying the ingredients. When he saw that Wu Yan didn't move from his spot, he rolled his eyes and said something to the players around him. The players left with a disappointed look on their faces. He then put away his stall and walked towards Wu Yan. "My lord," a voice suddenly came from behind. Wu Yan's heart skipped a beat and he started to feel uneasy. Could it be that someone recognized him? When the owner of the voice saw that Wu Yan didn't turn around, he walked up to Wu Yan and raised the crystal in front of him with a smile. "My lord, are you buying a crystal?" Wu Yan subconsciously took a step back. When he got a good look at the person's face and heard what he said, Wu Yan sighed in relief. He thought it was the Grim Reaper from the FFF Resistance Association or something. "No need." Wu Yan shook his head and was about to leave when the stall owner stopped him. "How about this, sir? As long as you buy my teleportation crystal, I'll give you a piece of information about a special monster as a bonus." "Special monster?" Wu Yan stopped and he turned around to face the owner of the stall. "What kind of special monster? This?" The stall owner smiled embarrassedly and gently raised the crystal item in his hand. Wu Yan raised an eyebrow and pursed his lips. "How much is it?" The stall owner immediately said, 100,000 COR. 100,000 COR. Wu Yan looked at him with a smile and crossed his arms. "Do you think I'm a fat sheep? The crystal is very expensive, but it's worth at most 40,000 to 50,000 core. 100,000 COR is enough to buy a recovery crystal." The stall owner seems to know that his demand is a bit too much, but he didn't lower the price. Instead, he pretended to be dumb and smiled. He saw the whole process of Wu Yan squandering his money to buy the ingredients. That's why he came looking for Wu Yan. Naturally, he wants to get a good price. Wu Yan got impatient when he saw the stall owner smiling like an idiot. He gave him 100,000 COR and the stall owner was overjoyed. "Thank you, my lord." The stall owner hurriedly handed the crystal to Wu Yan. Everyone could see the joy on his face. Wu Yan sighed. "Tell me, what kind of special monster is it?" "Oh, it's like this." The stall owner calmed down and said sneakily, "I heard that there's a little girl floating in the forest ahead. She's dressed in white and seems to be a spirit-type monster. There's no monsters in that forest, so don't you think it's strange that there's a monster here?" Wu Yan was amused. "Just because you saw a girl floating in the forest, you're saying it's a special monster?" "My lord, you don't know," the stall owner said exaggeratedly. "Someone once checked her up close, but they didn't see any player or monster icons. She didn't even have a HP bar, so someone speculated that she's a special monster. Maybe she can drop some super rare items." Wu Yan was dumbfounded when he heard this. White clothes, no icon, little girl. Could it be? Chapter 7:12. In the kitchen, Asuna processed the ingredients she got from Wu Yan's inventory. She placed them on a plate beside her. She used the kitchen knife to cut the ingredients evenly with the help of the system. She even hummed a little tune. She looked like she's in a good mood. Although Asuna's cooking isn't as good as Wu Yan's, she didn't want her husband to be in charge of the family's 3 meals a day. After all, it's her duty as a wife. Even if she really likes Wu Yan's cooking, she doesn't want to hand over her job to him. After processing the ingredients she just took out, Asuna started cooking. She looked at the delicious dishes that were about to come out of the oven and put her hands on her waist. "My cooking is pretty good too." Although she said that, Asuna's expression was a little bit guilty. It seems like she doesn't believe in herself. In fact, Asuna's cooking is pretty good. At least, compared to those so-called professional chefs in this world, her cooking is definitely in the top 3. Not to mention she also made some homemade sauces. Her cooking skills are not something those chefs who only know how to improve their cooking skills can compare to. She's qualified to be called the best chef in SAO. Unfortunately, she met a monster like Wu Yan. She's destined to suffer a setback. Under the system's convenient settings, a table of delicious dishes was quickly prepared. Asuna brought the dishes to the table. After placing her and Wu Yan's utensils on the table, Asuna took off her gloves and apron. She sat on the sofa and looked at the beautiful scenery outside the window while drinking black tea. The lake in the distance rippled little by little, the green forest filled Asuna's sight. The mountains and the blue sky complemented each other. Even though Asuna has seen this many times, she still felt happy. Asuna muttered with a smile on her face. "This is great, I should have moved here a long time ago, girl. You've only been here for a day, and you're already regretting that you didn't live with a certain someone before? You're the Flash, Asuna, oi oi." It didn't take long for Asuna to withdraw her gaze from the scenery outside the window. She turned to look at the entrance with a pout on her face. "Why aren't you back yet?" Just as he finished speaking at the door, a familiar voice entered Asuna's ears. "Asuna, open the door for me." "Yin?" Asuna was surprised. She stood up and walked towards the door. What's wrong? Asuna asked as she walked towards the door. Can't you drive it yourself? He heard Asuna's words. Wu Yen laughed bitterly once again. My hands are busy right now. Asuna was even more confused now. But she didn't slow down. She quickly moved to the door and opened it. Wu Yan's figure appeared in front of Asuna's eyes. Asuna was stunned. That's... Asuna looked at Wu Yan in shock. To be more precise, she looked at Wu Yan's back. A person? That's right, there's a person on Wu Yan's back. A girl about 10 years old was lying on Wu Yan's back. Her eyes were closed and her hands were hanging by her side. Asuna didn't know if she was asleep or unconscious. Only a faint breath could be heard from her body, proving that she was still alive. Wu Yan, on the other hand, is carrying her with both hands behind his back. He didn't open the door because he's afraid that he'll fall if he loosens his grip. However, his expression is a bit strange, it's hard to tell what he's thinking. What's going on? Asuna quickly ran to Wu Yan's side. She put her hands on the girl and looked at Wu Yan. What's wrong with her? Wu Yan bitterly smiled and shook his head. I'll explain later, let's go in first. Asuna nodded and together with Wu Yan she brought the girl into her house. Inside the room, Wu Yan gently put down the little girl on his back and carried her to the bed. He released a sigh of relief and looked at the little girl who was fast asleep. She had a head of long black hair with neat bangs covering her forehead. Her small face was exceptionally delicate and beautiful. Although she looked a little immature, it wasn't hard to see that when she grew up, her face wouldn't be inferior to Asuna's. She was already in the embryonic stage of a beauty. From head to toe, only a pure white dress was on her body. It was very monotonous. Although her expression was very peaceful, her pair of eyebrows were slightly furrowed. It could be seen that in her sleep she did not feel very good. Wu Yan looked at the cute little girl. He glanced at Asuna and then looked around. A strange look appeared in his eyes. Asuna didn't know about this little girl's identity, but Wu Yan is very clear about it. Yui. In the original work, Yui fainted in the forest on the 22nd floor. She was rescued by Kirito and Asuna. She was brought back to this mansion and thought of as their daughter. It's because he knew who Yui is that Wu Yan was able to deduce that the special monster was Yui from the stall owner's words. He went to find her and brought her back. Wu Yan's expression became a bit strange as he went through all the information about Yui in the original work. In the original work, Kirito and Asuna found Yui and brought her back. Then they accidentally found such a cute daughter. Now he's the one who brought her back. In the original work, this house was Kirito and Asuna's honeymoon place. Now it's his and Asuna's new home. Plus there's Yui. Wu Yan suddenly felt like he's a terrible person. Asuna, Yui, this house, dual swordsman, elucidator, they all belong to the main characters in the original work, but now they belong to him. He didn't know that he did so many bad things to Kirito. Luckily, Kirito already has Liz. It seems like he'll have to treat him better in the future. Hey Yan? Asuna didn't know that Wu Yan's mind was in a mess. She pulled Wu Yan's sleeve and looked at Yui worriedly. What happened to her? Wu Yan quickly collected his thoughts and shook his head. I don't know. She was already like this when I saw her. Wu Yan told Asuna about how he went to the forest and found the unconscious Yui from the stall owner. Of course, Wu Yan didn't tell her that he knew it was Yui. He told her that he wanted to see this special monster, and that's how he found Yui. She's a player, right? Asuna's brows furrowed tightly. Why would she pass out? Plus she's so young. In SAO, only players are allowed to enter other players' houses. NPCs are not allowed to enter other players' houses, unless it's a special quest. Otherwise this is the game's setting. Since Wu Yan can bring Yui into his house, that means she's not an NPC. As for a quest, if there is one, there should be a quest notification in their quest list. Up until now there hasn't been any signs of a quest, so that means it's not a quest. The only explanation is that she's a player. But, why doesn't she have an icon? Asuna lowered her head in confusion. Other than inanimate objects and items, players, monsters, NPCs, and tamed monsters all have an icon above their head. They also have a HP bar, but this girl doesn't have one. Is she an inanimate object? Chapter 7:13. There's no icon on Yui, so it's not a bug. The reason why there's no icon is because Yui isn't a player, NPC, or monster. She's an AI in SAO, A consulting AI that's responsible for maintaining the mental health of the players. In other words, Yui isn't a human. Wu Yen rubbed his forehead and he looked at Yui, who was lying on the bed. He started mumbling to himself. As a consulting AI, Yui's job is to interact with the players and solve their psychological problems. However, when SAO turned into a death game, Yui was deprived of the right to interact with the players. She's basically a psychiatrist, but she was deprived of the right to interact with the players. Due to the fact that she didn't have the right to carry out her duties, the AI finally made a mistake and left the place she's been living in and appeared in the outside world. In the original work, Kirito and Asuna had a lot of negative emotions because of this game. However, Kirito and Asuna had a lot of positive emotions. This attracted Yui, who was in a state of confusion, and she couldn't help but wander around them. Later, Kirito and Asuna discovered her. Although Wu Yen isn't Kirito, he doesn't have any negative emotions towards SAO. Asuna might have some negative emotions in the past, but now that she's married to Wu Yen, she's no longer looking at the world with prejudice. She's starting to enjoy life, and with Wu Yan's company, her negative emotions are naturally gone. Yui appeared on the 22nd floor just like in the original work. She was attracted by the positive emotions, but this time, Kirito is replaced by Wu Yen. Wu Yen tidied up Yui's bangs and looked at her frowning brows. He sighed with heartache. Yui looks like she's about 10 years old, but she's actually less than 2 years old. She was created when SAO was created, and she has never been in contact with the outside world. Even if she has a lot of common sense and knowledge, she's still a baby if you think about it seriously. A little girl like her doesn't even have the right to interact with the outside world. She's just like Flandre-chan. Wu Yen felt sorry for her. He touched Yui's cheek and said softly, "Rest well, everything will be fine when you wake up." Yui's frown slowly loosened after she heard Wu Yan's words. Her lips curled into a smile. It's almost like she's smiling. Asuna's heavy heart lightened up a bit as she watched this scene unfold. She walked over to Wu Yen and she leaned into his embrace. However, her eyes were fixated on Yui. "She should be fine, right? Don't worry." Wu Yen hugged Asuna's waist and he hugged her even tighter. She's not an NPC and she doesn't look like a monster. Even if she's a little strange, the fact that she's able to enter our house like a player means that she has her own consciousness. She'll wake up sooner or later. Asuna felt a little relieved after hearing Wu Yan's words. She buried her head into Wu Yan's chest. Why would such a young child appear in SAO? I don't know. Wu Yan closed his eyes. But since we're here, we can't just sit back and watch. Asuna raised her head and nodded. She smiled. Sure enough, Yen is very gentle. Is that so? Wu Yan's face fell and his expression turned into a naughty one. Didn't you say that I was too rough last night? Asuna blushed and pinched Wu Yan's waist. She said embarrassedly. That's right, you're not gentle at all, you're a bad guy. Oh? Am I a bad guy? Wu Yan giggled. He picked Asuna up and tossed her onto the other bed. Then I'll show you how naughty I am. Don't. There's someone else here. The next day, Yen. Wake up, Yen. Wu Yen, who was sleeping soundly, woke up with a start and he shot up like a spring. What's wrong? Is there a fire? Asuna punched Wu Yan's head, waking him up from his daze. She raged at him. You idiot. How can a building in SAO catch fire? That little girl woke up. She woke up. Wu Yen rubbed his head and he looked at the bed not far away. Yui, who is dressed in white, has woken up. She is lying on her side with her big round eyes. She is looking at the two who are messing around with each other. Her eyes are filled with confusion and curiosity. Wu Yen flinched. He quickly got up from his bed and he ran to Yui. Asuna also got up from her stupor. She got up from her bed and she came to Yui's side. Are you awake? Wu Yen sat on the bed and helped Yui up. Do you feel any discomfort? Yui blinked and tilted her head. She seemed to be thinking about something. She shook her head and mumbled. No, Wu Yen frowned. Looks like the AI made a serious error, even speaking is so difficult for it to do so. Asuna looked at Yui with concern. She hesitated for a moment before asking in a low voice, as if she was afraid that she would scare Yui away. Hey, what's your name? Yui repeated what she did just now. She lowered her head and raised it again. My name, Yui? Asuna nodded and smiled at Yui. Yui, do you know why you fainted in the forest? Yui looked at Asuna and she shook her head. Asuna frowned when she saw this. Wu Yen thought to himself, if she can't even speak properly, it's only natural that she would lose her memory. I'm Wu Yen. Wu Yin grinned brightly. He straightened his back and pointed at Asuna. Her name is Asuna, she's my wife. What? Awana? Yui opened her big eyes and said with difficulty, Fu? Yin? Wu Yin chuckled and shook his head. He slowed down and said slowly, It's Asuna Wu Yin? Yui pondered for a bit and opened her mouth. Awana. Fu Yin? Wu Yin raised an eyebrow. He exchanged glances with Asuna and they both helplessly grinned. Well, okay. Wu Yin sighed and shrugged. Yui, you can call me whatever you think is more comfortable with me. Yui tightened the blanket covering her body and twisted her body. After a long time she let out a shocking cry. Dad. Dad. Papa. Wu Yan's expression changed into something spectacular. His lips started twitching. Yui, if you don't mind, you can call me brother. Yui glanced at Wu Yan awkwardly. Hee. Wu Yan laughed dryly. Forget it, I'll call you Dad then. Yui grinned when she heard Wu Yan's words. Dad. Yes. Wu Yan smiled and pinched Yui's nose. Dad is here. Wu Yan pulled Yui into his arms and he made her face Asuna, who was still in a daze. Since I'm your dad, she's your mom? Mom? Yui said without hesitation. Mom? Asuna covered her mouth as she stared at the little girl who called her mother. Something bloomed in her heart. A beautiful smile slowly appeared on her face. Asuna walked in front of Yui and gently hugged her. Mom is here, Yui. Mom? Dad. Looking at the two girls hugging each other, Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.